Well, Mickey and I and the whole Disney family want to thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your visit here at Walt Disney World. Now, gang, it's time to get back to work. They're on vacation. We're not.
Bungled that already. Oh my God. That was hilarious. Oh my God. So anyway, I made a beautiful intro and then I accidentally clicked the outro.
Should we try again? Can we act as if nobody saw that and
yeah, it's
and
only
roll
three
it back?
people. Let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Nobody knows.
Okay, guys, one last picture at Disneyland, because we got to go home and watch the show.
Cheese!
Perfect.
Hey, well, it's your turn, Michael. Let me take your picture with Mickey and Minnie.
Goofy, I want to get home to watch the program tonight, okay?
Hang on a minute. Can I have my director's chair?
I don't believe this. I don't believe this.
Well, I just want to do a good job.
Okay, let's go.
I need a camera over here. Big one.
Oh, thanks. Quickly.
Oh, I think I need some reflectors. Come on, guys, put some back there.
What else? Wait a second. Why don't you all enjoy tonight's program while we stay here all night while Goofy takes his picture?
Look at the
Enjoy the show.
Okay. I think I need some film.
And there we go. Here we are. I am here with my most bestest friend, Anthony.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy to be part of the show. Great being here.
Yes. The reason why I have Anthony here is for two things. One, I can get long-winded.
Sure.
And then I could go off track and forget where I started. Real Alice in Wonderland. And then, two, Anthony has been here almost the whole time. I think he only missed like 2 years of this whole, like, me doing editing.
Maybe. Quite a few years, I would say. Yeah. I would before Frozen. That's how you know. It's like before and after Christ. This is before Frozen. That's how you know it really took off.
Yes, because oh my God, before Frozen.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it. Okay, so I'll let you lead the way, and if we're going to start, I made little banners as well to help me out to organize this. Oh, wonderful!
So, yeah, there we go.
So I guess first off, just to kind of talk about your history. So if people back then were to ask you like, oh, what do you sort of do? Would you have considered yourself an editor? Like, is that what you would have told people?
No, because that actually happened in college where I went there for film school, because I'm like, I want to make movies. I want to do that. But then like being on set and then being yelled at. And it's like, I could get yelled at McDonald's. I don't need to be yelled at while making a movie. So, no, seriously, that was like my mindset. Like, if I want to get treated like shit on a set, I could do that somewhere else,
Yeah.
So they asked me, like, what did I want to do? And I blanked. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was like, oh, God, what do I want to do? And I said, I do mashups. And she said, show me one of your mashups. And I showed her the Fight Club Toy Story. And she was like, oh my God, this is it. You're an editor. Just focus on editing. This is what you can do. This is great.
Yeah.
Because I showed her some other things as well around that time. But yeah, it was just, at the time I had no idea. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I wanted to be like Sam Raimi or something. But it's just like, when you get there, it's like, oh, we got to do lighting. And then you got to wait for the actors. And then you got to hire the actors. And then you got to feed the actors. It's like, damn it. Oh,
that's awesome.
God.
Yes. Okay, well, let's get into the era itself. You had sent me sort of a list. This is that 2008 to 2010 period. Set the sort of stage, folks. We're talking about the Dark Knight is in theaters. The Avengers hasn't even happened yet. We're talking the first Avatar. Keep this in mind for you folks at home.
Yes.
So the projects that you have listed here, you already mentioned Toy Story Fight Club. What is Toy Story Fight Club to the people that don't know what that is?
Okay, so in the early days when I started editing, I would do trailer mashups, and I was inspired by a trailer mashup guy named AE Edits, or AE Movie Guy, I believe, and he did like The Matrix with Fight Club and things like that. So I was like, oh, I could do Toy Story, and like literally, I would like piece together clips in my head of what the mashup should be. So, but basically, it's a trailer mashup with Fight Club audio with Toy Story 1 and 2 visuals. It's even for Toy Story 3. That's how early this is.
That's true. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, damn. And then some of the other projects we have here, and a lot of them are sort of, as you described, the simple sort of mashups. And that was like your main goal from the Big Six. We've got Up, Inception, Social Network as mixed up with A Bug's Life, which is all. I mean, so far we got a bit of a Pixar theme.
Yeah.
TikTok to the Future music video, Star Wars: The Town, and Jittering mashups of Taxi Driver and Observe and Report.
Yeah,
So that was really the main idea. Was just kind of. I mean, was it something? Some of these obviously are very opposite ends of the spectrum, or was it more so like what were you trying to achieve with it? Was it like the unexpected, or was it just like, hey, were you watching something and thought I could take this line or this visual and mash it up with this line or dialogue or whatever from another movie?
Mm-hmm. It was like that. It was like trying to tell a story using existing footage and then practicing with lip flap, because that's a big thing that really people don't really pay attention to or whatever.
Right.
Because like people will just use the original clip. Meanwhile, I'm an editor who'll be like, okay, what's the closest to the lip flap for that? And that started with these things, the trailer mashups. And then it's a wide range because at that time, animated movies were big. Pixar was big. This is the heyday at Pixar. I think this is, before they started kind of, doing sequels and,
well, like I said before Toy Story 3. So
yeah, exactly. Because that was a whole different era. I think that was the start of the era. I think Brave was the last of that creative Pixar thing.
Yeah.
So this is around that time. The jittering mashups is in the beginning, I didn't know how to copy DVDs. So they would have like the slight jitter.
Okay.
A lot of videos like that just had that slight jitter. And I would ignore that. I'd be like, who cares? The idea is the storytelling I'm doing. How's the storytelling?
What are you, Ed Wood?
Yeah, I know. I was like Ed Wood. I was like, I didn't care because like what I'm doing is better than the jittering,
Who cares if it moves? The people are here for Toy Story and they'll recognize Brad Pitt. It's fine.
Exactly. But what I didn't explain here in this little notes here is that when I started doing mashups, I would do them on this. It's a little tiger toy.
Oh, okay, cool.
And you would plug this into the TV. So I have the cords here. So let's see. How can I recall? Okay, yep. Okay. So the green one would go here, right here. Boom. Okay, so the green one would go here. These would go into the TV. And then, since I would record the audio of the trailer on this, I would plug this into the audio mixer, because there's like a little audio mixer. I think this is it. And then I would do that and then pause, record, because I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a computer. Yeah. So I would literally go pause, record. And one of my first ones was the Toy Story Fight Club. I'm going to pull it up here. Yeah, I'm going to pull it up. This is what it looked like when I would do that. So this is all like pause, record. And that's the screen. I had a little camera that I would record the screen. And it would look like this. It was like cheap little tiger toy. I think this was like maybe $20-$30 at like Walmart. And like all this is just like pause, record, pause. Let's see the audio.
These are your primary action items. I couldn't sleep.
So that's actually from an audio cassette.
I'd flip through catalogs and
pause.
wonder what kind of
Pause.
dining set defines
Pause.
me as a person. This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
But yeah, that's an example. That's an example of doing that. It was like pause, record of all those clips. And then actually having notes of what I was doing. Because back then I would literally do notes. Nowadays it's like all up here. It's like weird. It's like all organized. It's like, okay, I know Bruce Willis says this line. I know there's a scene from The Dark Knight that has like this exterior. I could use that. So it's all up here now. But back then, I literally watched the movie, made notes, and that first one, that Toy Story one, was all like regulated and scripted. And I think I've remade that one 3 times because the first one was that tiger toy, and then there was one, the jittering, and then there was one slightly high quality a few years ago.
Right.
I haven't gone HD yet.
Now, I know you've said before on Twitter or something at one point, you sort of think that Up Inception is sort of the spark of like the editing boom on YouTube. You you see yourself as sort of the god of mashups and things. Now, why do you think that? Is it because it's that good, or?
Oh no! What happened was. There was a bootleg trailer of Inception that came out the day before it was supposed to go online, before it went on Apple trailers. Right. So I was like, this is my opportunity. This is my big thing. So I made a mashup of Up Inception within like 40 minutes to an hour, something like that. Posted it. So it got a lot of views at that time, a lot of traction. And then at that same time, because I'm in school with other film editors, filmmakers, so they know that my video went viral, obviously.
Right.
And they're like, let's go in competition. Let's see who can get the most views. So my friend Alan Dennis made the Willy Wonka Inception.
Yeah.
My friend Henry made the Titanic Inception. And then a few weeks later, maybe a week later or something like that, it wasn't right away, but my friend Mike was like, hey, I'm going to put Mike Back to the Future with Inception. And it became a huge boom because I think even Jay Longbone did a freaking trailer mashup. You know her, she's great.
Yeah.
And we all just, we all made our Inception trailer mashups at that time. And I feel like that's the beginning of the end of trailer mashups because that was the big boom because everyone was like, oh shit, let me do an Inception mashup, either with just the music or just using the audio from the trailer. And that was the beginning of the end. And that there's a story too, because it had gone so viral. So, if you go to like a computer lab in a school, so there was a group of kids watching, well, not kids, they're probably teens, 20-year-olds watching the computer. So we all went to see what they're watching, and they were watching Up Inception. And that was very, very like, holy shit, this is big. This is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, there's like a lot of like things that went viral after that. Cause I think with that, I think I jumped from like 1,000 subscribers to like 10,000. And whatever I made, even how simple or stupid it would go viral. Like there was Lost Media. I wrote down little notes for me because I almost forgot about it. But I made a mashup of the Warriors with the soundtrack from Scott Pilgrim, comparing because like there's a piece of music in Scott Pilgrim that sounds exactly like the Warriors. And that went viral. That went to like Screen Rant and all these different websites. And then the Star Wars The Town, that went viral. That had a few 1,000 views. But yeah, this was like the big time, like, ooh, oh my God, this is huge, like, going viral and being the biggest during this I Want My TV Now era. Yeah. So
during this original era, do you think there was ever a point where you were aiming for that viral sensation, or were you still just doing it like, this is fun, I'm messing around with like simple sort of software, let me just kind of make something, or did you have that in the back of your mind of this could be like the last one was a hit, maybe this could be a hit too?
I think so, but a lot of it was just for me because I made like a stupid video that got me a strike. It was the South Park where Cartman sings Poker Face. So I had Lady Gaga with the Cartman audio, and that was just for me, stupid.
Right.
And that got me a copyright strike. And then what's the other thing that happened? I think around this time, I don't think I wrote it in the Chief Brody Rules era, but it kind of started in 2010, I think. I did some movie spoofs, the 4-minute movie spoofs. Right. And that's sort of like YouTube poop before there was like YouTube poop or whatever. I didn't want to call it YouTube poop. I don't know. But like around this time, it was that. And then I would do some music videos just because I was like, I want to do that. Like I did, what do you call it? TikTok to the Future. I don't think that was supposed to go viral. I think I just did that to me because I was like, I like TikTok by Kesha, and that's perfect for Back to the Future. So I did that. I didn't. Right. I don't think the intention was to do viral. It was just to do what I wanted to do at that time, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense because clearly when you're first starting out, you wouldn't be doing it unless you wanted to. But yeah, you saw some pretty early success, like you mentioned. So yeah, it's easy to get lost in that as soon as it starts off.
Yeah, and there's definitely because after this, it's the Chief Brody Rules era. We'll kind of jump a little bit ahead, just a little bit.
Yeah, we can transition to that. Yeah, let's go to the next piece.
Yeah, because what happened is there's some lost media that we'll never get back. Because the reason why Chief Brody Rules existed is because I wanted to have a backup channel. Because around that time, people were starting to do backup channels for because people would get their channels taken down or whatnot.
Yeah.
So there's some lost videos out there. Like I lost my entire high school graduation. That's gone. I lost some LA vlogs of me going to LA. Those are gone. I lost we call it the Warriors with Scott Pilgrim. I lost Superman Creep, where it was clips from Superman Returns, but it's I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo. It was perfect. Right. I love that. I think the Terminator Stylo is missing, and then the Tomorrow Comes Today with Inglourious Bastards. That was a music video, and those are all gone. I think the big three that got me strikes like out was the South Park Poker Face, the Planet of the Dinosaurs with the William Tell overture. So there's this cheesy 70s movie called Planet of the Dinosaurs, and I just sped it up to make it look like running back and forth. And it was to the William Tell overture, and apparently that was copyrighted, and I got a strike and lost I Want My TV Now, and I was like, oh damn. And I think there was only 900, maybe 1,000 that were subscribed to Chief Brody Rules, so it was like really a ground up restart basically.
Right.
Yeah.
I would argue that obviously most people sort of recognize you as that name. You know, that's where I was introduced to you through,
Yeah.
and you know, you still we'll get to it when we get to it, but you still get people sort of talking to you about like, oh, when is the next Chief Brody Rules thing?
Yeah.
So I mean, let's talk about the transition to Chief Brody Rules real quick. So
Yeah.
obviously with that name,
Yes.
you know, it's a famous movie directed by Steven Spielberg's.
Spielman,
Yeah, Spielberg. He's
a fableman.
the death of modern cinema, thanks to him inventing the summer blockbuster.
Oh God.
So you go for this sort of thing. What was I mean, obviously it's a username. Was it just
Yes.
choosing a username, or was there like what was the purpose of using such like a specific cinema character?
So I want my TV. I'll go through that. Well, I want my TV now was based off this because it's
Yeah.
called TV Now.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, but now it was gone. So, and the reason why it's called Chief Brody Rules is so embarrassing. So, me and my roommates in college would have movie nights. We'd have movie marathons, and there was a night where we watched all the Jaws movies. And as we're watching it, we're like, Chief Brody Rules. So that's that was a time where I was online making a backup channel. I'm like, yeah, fuck it, Chief Brody Rules, and that was the reason why it was called that. And that just cracks me up because there's no like bigger purpose. It was just,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
we were
just
just
fun.
sitting around. Yeah, we were just sitting around watching Jaws.
All right, well, let's get into some of the projects here. We've got Star Wars Pineapple Express, Batman Drop the World, Wonka Tron Legacy,
Yes.
All Dogs Enter the Void,
Yes.
4-minute movie spoofs, and you sort of mentioned those a little bit earlier. And
Yeah.
then Man 2, Labyrinth, and Jurassic Park. So that was continuing the form.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2. Yeah.
Bleh. Okay. So yeah, obviously a little experimental compared to the last phase, I would argue. You know, the last one was a bit more straightforward. You take audio from one thing and you combine it with a sort of different movie. Is this sort of branching out? You know, trying to be a bit more
Yes.
creative with it.
Yes, because I believe I was just looking at mashups again, and all these YouTube poops started popping up in my recommendations, and I was like, what the hell are these? So the first YouTube poop I ever watched was Toys Gone Wild. And I didn't fully understand it. I didn't get it, but I thought it was hilarious. Like that video was hilarious, like legitimately hilarious. So I was like, what can I do to do that? So in order to like sort of branch out of the trailer mashups, it's like, what else can I do? So I would do these 4-minute movie spoofs. And some of these are, I'd say most of these are crap. I'll be honest. I think most of these are crap. I think the first one I did was the Indiana Jones 4 movie spoof. It's very simplistic. It's very like, I think even like the whatever that theme is, the Benny Hill theme is in that one. And then the Spider-Man 2, like I think I was like sort of just ripping off somebody else's, but kind of doing my version.
Right.
And then I was doing Frank Miller, whatever Frank Miller does. Like he sees somebody else do it and then he does it his own way. So that's what I did it. Labyrinth, I think that was a request because I'm not a Labyrinth person. And then Inception, I think, was like the last one to be released on I Want My TV Now before the copyright strike.
Right.
But there's like a lot, like those are all weak. I don't really like those 4-minute movie spoofs. Because I'm looking at them now, I was trying to think like if there's anything like redeeming out of them. No. There's some funny moments. Like I think like I still laugh at the part where the raptor goes, Attica. It's completely like that is me. That because I had just watched Dog Day Afternoon. And there's a scene where Al Pacino is like yelling, Attica. And so that's just for me. It's not for anybody else. So that's like, so all these like videos are basically just to entertain me. They're not really to entertain anybody else. And I think that basically sticks with my whole career, basically. I think there's only like a handful of times where I tried to go viral, I think. And like, I don't think they ever really did.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in terms of this era here, do you have like a personal favorite not sort of the comedy aspects of it, but obviously with the sort of the more like trailer mashup stuff? Does anything stick out to you?
From this era, specifically from the list I gave you, the reason why I wrote Batman Drop the World is because I would listen to music and then like try to picture like what can I go with the music? What story can I tell with the music?
Oh,
and
sure,
this is and so Drop the World, that's the one where I used Batman Begins, I think I used Batman Forever and then Batman and Robin or something. It was like a completely different mixture of things where it's like they shouldn't go together, but they do. I think it's the Dark Knight Joker. So it starts out with Batman from Batman Begins, and then goes into the Joker with Eminem, and then it ends with Mr. Freeze. And that was like, storytelling, where I would just like practice storytelling with just visuals. That's what I did a lot with these music videos, where I would try to reinvent it. The Tron Legacy was just like, because my friend did the Inception Wonka. I'm like, let me do Wonka to Tron Legacy. So that's what I did. And then the Star Wars Pineapple Express, that's a, what do you call it? TV Now era mashup that I just updated. And that kind of went viral a little bit, not as much, but a little bit.
Did you ever find yourself like, did you try to, I guess, bring a little variety to it? Like if you had made sort of a music video storytelling one, did you think like, okay, I got to do a comedy one next? Or was it just like whatever comes? There's no
whatever comes,
schedule?
comes. Okay. Whatever comes. Because at this time, I was still imaginative. Because I think there's like people out there who don't really fully grasp that. Where like you're in a different mindset where it's like, because I think it was you or either Kirk Beatty who said my videos were basically watching inside my mind. Like, I forgot if it was you or Kirk, but it was like, this is perfectly, what's that word? Encapsulates what this guy is thinking about movies and, mashups and music. So there's that.
Well, yeah, it feels like a sort of celebration of things. Like there's so many common sort of trends you keep mentioning, characters like Batman and Star Wars, and I feel like today people will get that sort of conflated with like, okay, if you like a thing, you're in a fandom, you're sort of captured into this idea of like you like all aspects of it. And for you, it was just sort of taking the things that you like about it, whether it's just a movie or just a song or just a visual, and kind of putting that together. And yeah, especially when you get to the more frantic, like YouTube poop style edits, it really does seem like going through a filing cabinet and going, oh, I know this bit of dialogue that'll fit here. And we'll get into that more as we move forward. But But yeah, even here you can tell it's taking the things that you care about and you're like, how do I make it my own? You know?
And this was around the time where I learned the important lesson. Because towards like 2011, 2012, I sort of backpedal on it. But in 2010, I do learn a lesson from somebody that in order to do a good mashup, they can't be similar.
Right.
Because around this time, I believe it was this time, where I made a trailer mashup with The Dark Knight and Pelham 123 for a class project. And it didn't really get a buzz. There was no buzz or anything because the ideas were so similar. It was about
you
like
didn't change
heist.
it.
Yeah, I didn't really change it. It was a safe choice.
Yeah.
So like towards like we'll get there, but there's an era where in order just to make anything, I would do like safe choices like that. But like this era was like I'm trying to mix things, that shouldn't go together. Pineapple Express and Star Wars, those shouldn't go together, but they do. Yeah. So this is that era where I'm learning that don't put similar things together. Mix different things. Yeah.
That makes sense. Did you have any clips from this era that you wanted to kind of dig into?
Let's see. I think I do. Oh, no, well, we'll get there because I think it's an actual Q&A question, but we'll get to it.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Hang on. Oh, no. It's sort of going slow on my end. I think I just have... Damn it, where is it? It's slow on my end. Sorry, my bad. Hopefully I'm still on screen. Yeah. Damn.
Sorry, folks.
Sorry, folks. No, from the looks of it, I don't have anything from this era because I could only have 10 videos from different things. So there's other videos here that are more important.
Well, then we're moving on.
We're moving on. The
2011 period. We're moving on. Next segment. Editorially lost. What does that mean?
Editorially lost that means I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. No idea what I'm doing. I've run out of ideas. I've lost motivation. This is like college is starting to wrap up. And it's like, oh geez, what do I do? I've done everything so far. I'm tired of doing the trailer mashups. And I really can't, at this time, go beyond what I can do with the 4-minute movie spoofs. I can only do so much.
Right.
So right now I'm limited. I'm like lost creatively. Like I'm not sure what I really want to do. And I'm just throwing whatever sticks to the wall. So this era is just like bad. Terrible.
Well, let's go through the projects. We've got Star Wars YouTube poop, straightforward.
Yes.
Jurassic Park, roll back the clock to the dawn of time. It's
Mhm.
a reference to a classic film. 2011 Supercut, Sweet Victory, The Rock, Sin City Short Change Hero. A lot of very similar sort of musical themes still running through your videos. New Looney Tunes show mashups, Tron Legacy YouTube poop, American Psycho trailer, which is probably one of the more iconic, I would
Yes.
say, takes from your history, and Toy Story 1 YouTube poop. A lot of very straightforward concepts, I would say, this
Yes.
time around.
And I feel like a lot of these would probably be considered, some of my classics, but I look at them and I just think like, no. And a lot of these are still viral hits, like that Sweet Victory, The Rock, that still gets views, tons of views, to a certain point where I had to turn off the comments because it was always like, oh, that's from Modern Warfare. What's the title of the song? What's the movie? Meanwhile, it's like, it's all there in the title, The Rock, Sweet Victory. It's like, Jesus Christ. So I had to turn off the comments. Roll back to the dawn of time. I thought that was funny because there's like a Jurassic Park reference in We're Back. So I did Jurassic Park with We're Back.
Classic film.
The 2011 Supercut. Oh my God, that's right. So right around this time, I was very cynical. And that 2011 Supercut is just basically making fun of all the 2011 movie releases that were coming out.
Good
Because
Lord.
they all look like a little similar.
Okay.
And I don't, if you ever watched the 2011 Supercut, you can notice that there's a lot of things that are related or they connect to the next thing. And I remember watching all these trailers. I'm like, all these movies look the same. And it was just, and I remember it went viral and people were like, oh, this is cool. Looking forward to all these movies. And I'm like, no, stop. That's not the point.
No.
It's not the point of this video. There was that. And then the Short Change Hero is pretty straightforward. I like Sin City, so I made a music video. The Looney Tunes mashups were just like little simple things where I think I mashed them up with like Pulp Fiction, just because they released like these 1-minute clips from the show. And I kept using those 1-minute clips to recreate scenes, and it was hilarious. So it's like Bugs Bunny going like with the audio moving from his mouth. And then the Tron Legacy YouTube poop, that was supposed to keep the 4-minute movie spoofs alive. But like I had so many gags for that one scene when he's on the grid. I was like, this is the video. I don't need to go beyond this. So I just filled it up with a bunch of gags, a lot of stupid gags. That one's funny. I'll say that one's funny. I like that one. There's some good gags. I like the good the what do you call it? The air blimp. The tire blimp, whatever the hell it's called. Goodwill. Was it Goodwill? Goodwill, yeah, Goodwill tires. And then
Goodyear.
There we go. Lightyear.
Goodwill's where you get the stuff and donate it to poor people.
She's at a Goodwill station. Okay, let's see. The American Psycho trailer. That one was getting over a crush. I had a crush. And like I was angry, so I made a little video of a trailer, and like I just like use all the parts where he's angry just to get that, like, to vent, basically.
Right.
And the funny thing about this trailer is this one is still one of my biggest hits because I think people thought it was the real trailer.
Well,
and,
yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. Like, I didn't think it was that good that people thought it was the real trailer, but apparently people do. They think it's the real trailer. And then what's the other thing that's really funny about it? I think it was inspired by my friend Joel Walden, because I think he did something similar. And I was like, I like that. Let me try to do something like that. So that is another Frank Miller thing going on there. And
Gotcha.
then what else was the other thing about the American Psycho trailer? I think there was like one more thing. Oh yeah, I had to turn the comments off for that too, because everyone complained about the music, and none of that music is in the movie. Because people would literally say, I don't want to see this movie if it has this song in it. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
Is that how trailers work? Like, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, so there's like some of these things where it's just like, you got to turn the comments off. Like, the audience is not that great. Sadly, it's just not that great. You just got to turn the comments off. And lastly on this list is this Toy Story 1 YouTube poop, which I think is, there's some good gags in that one. I'm not going to lie. There's some good gags.
Yeah.
Like, I like the end where Woody just throws up. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
It was. I was watching it again. I'm like, that's awesome. Where he's like, no. And he's like, blah, and he vomits. It's the best.
So yeah, you're sort of still in this period of like making stuff that just is wanting to make you laugh. You said I talked about it with the Tron Legacy one. You just sort of got there. Was there a point? Because I especially whenever you're like in the zone of making stuff. Did you ever find yourself like, all right, I got to make like a certain amount. I can't just release a short video. Like I have to make it worth it as like a video. Or did you sort of get to that point and realize this is nothing and like cut it back down? Like, did you ever release a cut where it's like, that I released that thing with deleted scenes included? What was I thinking?
There's things where I would just throw it online. Like the 2011 is like whatever stupid idea I had. Like, okay, Chicken Run with Schindler's List. There's like a little scene where Ginger says, I didn't do enough. And then the girl with the glasses is like, you did so much. That's all I had. So I uploaded that. And then there was another clip that I uploaded that was like nothing. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. But it was like a nothing clip that I uploaded. Oh, yeah, it was Captain America. So they put Captain America in that steam engine thing, right? And then the door opens, and then it's the little egg from Casper saying, am I alive? And that was it. There's like nothing else. But yeah, that era.
You had an idea. You had to get it out there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then 2011, even though I'm editorially lost, there is like a hint of a future idea where they released the bootleg trailer of The Dark Knight Rises. So the audio wasn't that great. So what I did was do a bootleg trailer mashup. So it was a bootleg Star Wars trailer mashup with The Dark Knight Rises. And that would be repeated later and better further down the line with my mashups.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because just coming up with different ideas of what I want to do. And I thought that was interesting. Like, there's bootleg trailers. Why not do a bootleg trailer mashup? And I think I've done that several times.
It's a fun idea. I mean, obviously, because editing in terms of the YouTube world, like you said, YouTube poops are super popular at this point. Fan trailers in general, something that Kirk and I will always talk about is sort of that era of superhero fan trailers where all you had was Spider-Man, the Hulk, Wolverine, and the Fantastic Four, and you use some like video game footage for whatever Avenger you can get kind of thing. And like that was the period. And so like obviously you're sort of here really sticking to your guns with stuff that like is just sort of fun and kind of different, which it sort of feels like.
Yes, but I think this is the era where I first hear the name Shades at Night. Because I'm subscribed to a channel called was it Geekvolution?
Yeah, that's Geekvolution.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen them in my subscription box, so I might be unsubscribed. But anyway, back then I was subscribed to them, and I remember I think there was a commentary with Shades at Night, and then I remember him. I think it's a little further later on down the line, but I remember seeing his comments pop up on my videos, and then thinking that, oh my God, there's this older editor that's a fan of me. And not the case at all, because and the funny thing is, the reason why I thought he was older is because I think it was the X-Men commentary he did, where he just sounded like an old man who knew the history of X-Men, and it was wonderful. He could spout off like, oh yeah, I'm a fan of Scott's and the Cyclops and this and that, and he just sounded like old and weary that he had to watch The Last Stand or whatever the commentary was. But then years later, I find out that he's like, I don't know, 5 years younger than me. But it just cracked me up because I think this is the era where I was like listening to those commentary tracks on Geekvolution. I think this was 2011, 2010, around this time.
Yeah, it would have been right around that time.
Yeah. But that just cracks me up just thinking about it, because you just mentioned like, oh yeah, Kirk and Anthony. I was like, oh my God, that's right, Kirk. Because I thought he was so famous. I was like, oh my God, it's Kirk. Or not, I didn't even know him as Kirk. I knew him Shades. Shades at Night,
yeah, Shades at Night, of course, who did a lot of like fan trailer stuff, and he's done a lot of stuff not on YouTube that people don't know about, but yeah, people will probably know him from his X-Men themed or Avengers themed stuff, and he was part of that group of people back in the day. Superboy X, Soylent Brack 1, if you guys remember any of those names.
Soylent Brack 1, dude,
that guy still makes trailers today. He does good work.
Yes.
God. But it's all about sort of standing out. But you I feel like you had sort of like a foot in every kind of space in the editing
Yeah.
circle. You know, you've got these silly sort of things, and obviously Shades sort of dipped into that era as well. So it's not like it was exclusive, but
Yeah.
you know, you've got your very specific things, but you've always managed to be a fan editor without coming off as like, you know, Avengers versus Justice League versus
Oh,
Watchmen, you know, like
damn, yeah.
that sort of space, which it has its place. You know,
Yeah,
I
it
watch
has
those
its
trailers
place.
like crazy.
Yeah, and I think I never wanted to do that because it already existed. So it's
Right.
like I don't want to do that. I want to do something that I would like because, you know, jumping a little bit ahead here. I guess we could go to the next section because no, it's not in the next section. It's like 2 years from now. But when I did that, you know, before I get to it, but that Captain America VHS trailer, I could have made a whole career. I could have made a whole career just doing Iron Man VHS trailer, Civil War VHS trailer, Hulk VHS trailer, but I didn't do that. I really did not want to do that because it's like I had a vision. The vision started with a freaking Punisher trailer. That was the original idea. And then I was like, oh, yeah, the Punisher. Yeah, that was the idea. The initial idea was I want to do like a violent Punisher trailer. But I thought, no, how about I use Captain America instead and then do some goofy shit with RoboCop and the Fembots and all that stuff. I'll save some of the stories for later for that. But yeah, that's just,
I've got a story for that trailer as well, so
Yeah.
we'll get to that here in a bit. Did you have any clips from this era you'd like to show?
Let's see. Do I?
He's only got 10 clips, folks, so I can't promise that he'll show anything.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's like only some important clips I have here, and there's only 10 videos I can upload. But yeah, no, they're not here.
All right, great.
They're not here. Okay.
Next up. So we got 2012 to 2013. This is probably around the era where probably I would say no, I knew about you in 2011. What am I saying? Anyways, so yeah, there's some stuff here that is even bigger. I mean, these are the iconic YouTube poop era. You know, like this is where it gets like cinematic. This is where you have to follow along uploads. You know, this is where people think that you sound like Harry Plinkett. Like this is a big time period.
Yeah.
So we've got Walt Disney Sin City, which is classic right there, banger. Little Mermaid YouTube poop, classic. Oh my god, when friggin' Barney shows up out of the clam, classic. Avengers YouTube poop, great. The Dark Knight Rises, great. Dead Batman Down, Home Alone, Die Hard, Snow White YouTube poop, Scooby Doo YouTube poop. Like if you're a fan of this channel, you've probably seen all of these because this is really where it starts to pick up into like, like this is where I was referring to in terms of like, it's a look into your brain because anyone can sort of throw in Hotel Mario going no, you know, or like
Spaghetti.
any of that old stuff. Yeah, like that's anyone can do that, but like there's so much unique stuff where you go, I know that music cue, I know that line. What is that? And it's like, oh, that's you know, Arthur from Sword in the Stone going, whoa, you know, it's like that kind of stuff where you have to dig it out.
Yes.
GTA 5, Incredibles, Pocahontas YouTube poop, Super Bowl blackout, and how much longer does the program need? One. So I mean, yeah, this is the start of something incredible.
And I'm not even sure how it really started. I'm really not sure. I don't even know what was the first one that went viral because, you know, in 2019, I did the Thanos where I moved it all off. So I have no idea when these were uploaded originally, but I was just like, Thanos, goosh. So, but to go with this, I moved back home and the first thing I wanted to get was a hard drive. And that was the big important thing about this era. And not only that, but since I was like, okay, so when I was in high school, I went on summer trips. And then it was, you know, back to school, summer trip, high school, summer trip. And then right from high school, like a week or two right into college. So it was like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So my mom was like, how about you just take a break? You've been busy for the last, you know, 5 years. Just take a break, whatever. So this time, and this is a thing that people don't really understand because whenever people are like, oh my God, you got to do this. It's like, I was unemployed. I had all the time to do research. I had all the time to go to the library, to get a stack of Disney movies, watch all these movies, make notes, have ideas to do this. I don't have that time now. It's like whatever is up here, I have to do it. So that's why like fan trailers are more my thing now,
Yeah.
because it's like I can watch a movie in 2 hours and get an idea. With this was like renting like a stack, like no shit, like as much as I could from the library, which I think is like unlimited, maybe for 50 movies. But like I would get tons of movies and just copy them, put them on a hard drive, copy them, put them on a hard drive. And one of the things was since I was such in like a lull point for 2011. Before I moved back, my friend Alan said, "What are you working on? Do you have any mashups or anything?" I'm like, "Nah, not really." He says, "You got to be working on something." So I said, "The Sin City mashup, the Walt Disney Sin City," and he watched what I had done and said, "You got to finish this. This is good. Finish this." So when I got home, I finished it. I bought the other movies, and that was the year I rewatched all the Disney animated movies and got ideas. But yeah, do you want to go through the videos? Because I already talked about the Sin City one, but we could go down.
Yeah, let's go to it. I mean, yeah, the one after that is Little Mermaid, which I mean, like I said, that is great. What is like how do you do something like that? How do you like it's a multi-part series?
Yeah, that was wild because I think before then I was doing like the 5 to 4 minute videos, like the Avengers or Dark Knight or I think Pocahontas. But as I was doing notes, because I had never seen Little Mermaid before 2012, so this was the first year I'd ever seen it. So when I watched the movie, I was like writing down notes of ideas, and then as I started editing, I realized that it went beyond 5 minutes right away, and that most of my ideas were like consistent throughout the whole movie. Where I was like, "Oh shit, how about I just make it a multi-part thing?" And that's what I did because I was like, "There's no way I'm taking this joke out. This is funny. This part's funny. This part's funny." So I was like, "Okay, chop them up in chapters and make it interesting." And that's what I did. You know, that's what I could recall at this point, anyway.
Yeah.
And that was wild, though. That was wild. Do you have any questions on like any specific part of that? Because there's so many gags.
I mean, it's not even a gag a minute, it's a gag a second. Like there's so many bits in there where I still think of that today, like little stuff where it, the part she gasps and then it zooms in on her eyes and then you put the Woody audio in there. If I can't show my face in there without buzz, like it has that snappy thing of like you said, I know you said you're taking notes and doing all this stuff. And it really does feel like anywhere you can see a spot where you can alter something, put it in a different quote or whatever, it has that in there. You got the Sesame Street music playing at that one part. Like
he's playing that flute.
Yeah.
And then he throws it like Batman Begins. And that's like you have to know Batman Begins to even understand what the hell that is. Oh my God.
It's great. And I'm watching that for the first time. I was blown away because, like you said, a lot of sort of YouTube poop stuff and funny stuff was very short and it was very simple. And that was the first time I saw something where it was just joke after joke after joke, where even if you didn't get it, Batman Begins one I get, but like there's other stuff where it's like I don't know every movie that you've referenced before, and now there's stuff where it's like music wise I recognize it and I hear it from your video. So when I hear it in the movie or wherever else you reference it in another video, I go, "Oh, that's what right? Okay, I just know that from this." So I don't really more so have like a question. It's just it's incredible that was like the first time I saw something that felt that like to that scale. And I guess to sort of bleed it into more so a question about your later projects, like Snow White feels like the sequel. Like was it something where it's like, okay, that was really big, I want to do it again? Was Snow White intended as like a sort of spiritual successor to that, or was it just like I got so many jokes again, turns out I have another big blown out thing?
So the Snow White one was actually a request, and I was like, okay, I'll take a shot at it. I usually don't do requests, but I'll take a shot at it. So I did part 1, and I messaged the person, and I never heard back from this person ever again.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And I remember being so pissed because I'm already full-fledged into doing this. And there's some things, and I think Snow White is probably the superior one, honestly, with the storytelling, because the whole thing of making the evil witch, the hag, into the Joker Jack Nicholson Joker. That's insane. And then the Chernobog at the end, because there's a lot of animation that just blends in together, and then there's blending in things I love, like Red Letter Media. Like I have Cameron Mitchell. He's the hunter, and he goes in there. He's like, bam.
Yeah, I mean, it gets wild towards the end there. I would definitely say that it feels a bit more constructed than the other one, but yeah, I guess I don't know. You've had sort of a history with requests. We have a bit of an inside joke about dude, Chicken Little YouTube poop, because
oh my
I guess
god, yes,
people just sort of assume of like, oh, you can do anything.
Yeah,
just
I could do anything.
Disney property and make a YouTube poop out of it.
Yeah.
But it's there's just so much with this. There's all the Evil Dead stuff, and
yes,
I don't know. You managed to really do something incredible with it. I love this one. It's
because I even like this is a ride. This is like a 3D ride from like Toronto, I think. This
no, that's Scooby Doo.
Is this no? Jesus Christ. But anyway, like we've missed a couple of gags already. Like the first gag, I remember someone did a Let's Watch of this, and they said, "Oh, that's Chief Brody Rules," not knowing that was George Lucas. They legit, because the kid was like, I think they were kids. They're like 13 or 12 or whatever, doing a Let's Watch. They're probably 20 years old. My God, kids these days. But they're like, "Oh, look, that's Chief Brody Rules," and it was George Lucas saying, like, I want to go back to my film and complete it.
You're like Matt Groening, you're the scary man with the iPad.
Yeah, get out of my office. The John Ford, as we mentioned in the previous stream. Yeah. But yeah, it goes through like Evil Dead and all that. Let's just jump ahead and see what's some. Oh my God, yes, Home Alone. And this is just like shit. Like, how do I come up with that? Like, that's so weird. Like, it's just that little clip of her shutting the curtain, and that's probably what inspired it.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. And there's Leia. But yeah, that era was wild for that YouTube poop. So,
it certainly comes off that way. Like it feels like you're firing on all cylinders, and it's crazy. You're still doing stuff that's popular. Like the Disney stuff is sort of becoming your brand in a way, because obviously you started with the Pixar stuff, so it's always been there. But now obviously you've got the Sin City one, and now you've got these sort of like your major sort of projects with the YouTube poops, but you're also still sort of keeping with the other stuff as well. You're still sticking in the superhero genre, because like that is what's current, so you can't avoid it, but you still make it your own. I remember watching your Avengers Super Bowl edit, and I was blown away. Once again, it's that exposure to a joke a second, where you have to watch it multiple times, and you show your friends, and like even if you don't get every joke, it's just it's a thrill ride, it's a rocket sled.
Yeah, I think with the superhero videos, like the Avengers one, the Dark Knight one, I think that was sort of like what I always intended the 4-minute movie spoofs to be. Because the 4-minute movie spoofs are just kind of like, like throwing shit at the wall. With the Avengers YouTube poop, there's like a clear vision. Like, we're going to have Tony Stark fall with Roger Rabbit and we call Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse. Give him a spare. And then like in the beginning, when they open up the window and Thor's on the wing of the plane, like, because it's from the Twilight Zone, that's hilarious. And that's like using my mind of like, okay, this needs to go here. And I'm learning how to do some visual effects along the way, because back then with the 4-minute movie spoofs, I could only do so much. But now it's like with the YouTube poop, I'm trying to test out like, what can I do? What visuals can I cut out?
Right.
What can I blend in? Like example, like I already said, with Cameron Mitchell as the hunter in the woods, that like sort of blends in with Snow White. That's hilarious. And yeah, I did that with even the freaking that whole Little Mermaid YouTube poop is just like learning how to chroma key and cut things out and like do weird shit. Like I'm like right now it just popped in my head, but like when you think Batman is walking into the cave and Ariel's like, and then it shows Batman in the cave, and then it's on a TV, and then the Trident puts down the TV. It's like, what the hell is that? And some like weird meta shit. And it's like that wouldn't work. The Batman showing up there and then turning into a TV wouldn't work. But that was like just me like, what can I do to really fuck things up with the visuals and the editing? That's just an example. That's just one. Oh my gosh. And like
Did
even
you?
like go ahead.
I was gonna say, did you ever come across stuff where, 'cause, you're really pushing yourself in terms of learning new things? Was there ever a point where you're like, okay, I'm not like that's too bold. That's an idea that isn't gonna work right now. Like you had to sort of back off on it, or did you manage to get in all your wacky and zany ideas at the time?
I think it was whatever I didn't like. So like I would do like the old school Simpson rules where I would watch it over and over again, or like, at least a couple times before I released it, or I even exported it where I would watch it like, okay, this gag is not as strong. I could cut that out. And it's gone forever. I don't even know where it is. But like things like that, I would cut out like gags like, no, take that out. But
Right.
nothing like too bold. Like if anything, like this was the era where like it's hard to explain because I know I wanted to do fan trailers probably during this time, but I knew I wasn't ready. And I felt like without these YouTube poops,
Right.
I would not be able to do the fan trailers later down the line because I feel like I learned everything I needed to learn about storytelling, mashups, visual effects, and then like lip flap. And because I think that's what I was afraid of. I was afraid in the beginning to use different pieces of content. I wanted to stick to like one movie or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay.
But with this, it was like, oh, now I have a hard drive. I can use multiple pieces of media. I could download from YouTube. I could use from Vimeo. I could use this from that, things like that. And it was just wild.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. That's cool. And then I guess the last sort of thing listed here is the how much longer does the program need, which is very like meta because
Yes,
obviously we'll get into it. Sorry, Kirk, but this is history. So
this is
Kirk
history. Yeah.
had a series called
Mhm.
"What Did We Do," which was just a series of like funny edits where it was very similar to your stuff because
Mhm.
it was inspired by your stuff. It
Yes.
was something where he as an editor, we think of funny little gags. We're always quoting shit. We're always
Mhm.
doing stuff. So it's like, okay, well, what can I get these ideas into like a little formatted show? And I guess it in a slight way, it's also probably inspired by Botchamania, which is an online series that sort of shows like botches in wrestling, and
Oh,
like the
okay.
sort of end segments always are like little edited bits. So it's a lot of like putting Simpsons audio over wrestling bits and combining like it's a very similar format. I've
Yeah.
never talked to him about that, so that might be
Yeah,
new
that's
listening,
news to
but
me because I think the meta aspect was Kirk did it first, Shades at Night, and then you did it. And then since you did it, I did it.
well, yeah. So I was gonna get to that. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he was inspired by making comedy bits, and then as a sort of joke, mine was a parody of his parody series because it was called because he had an opening bit from like a Young Justice clip or something of Batman saying like what did we do? It's
What
Bruce
did we
Greenwood.
do? Yeah.
And so mine was like, well, I got to keep it a question. And so I made it into 'cause Thor: The Dark World had come out. It's Loki saying, "When do we start?" And I remember because there was a great moment at the end. The last bit of dialogue in The Winter Soldier is Falcon saying to Captain America, "When do
Yeah.
we start?" And I was
What do
like,
we say?
"That's a reference to me." But- so yeah, then
We
you made
just
yours
did.
because it's following into the lineage of asking the question, and we
Mhm.
tried to keep it as a like a running gags. Obviously, he had Defoe, so I went for Shannon Zod,
Yes.
and then yours, both in the title and the character, really
Yes.
utilized Bane,
Bane.
because Bane's an icon, So
Yes. He's what became, yeah, as you can see here in the art by Phil Dragish on the bottom, Bane. Bane is like one of the mascots of the channel, basically, kind of. I would consider it anyway. I think like down there you can see John McClane, Bruce Willis, so everyone knows that's my channel. Tom Cruise, Bane, Chief Brody, Batman, and Ariel. Like those are the icons.
yeah,
And with like what do you call it, with the what did we do, or how much longer does the program need, I should say. That one was, I don't even know, like I feel like that was just throwing shit at the wall because I think at that time, because I wrote it here, October 2013. So let me bring up the banner because that sort of will explain it. So in the middle of 2013 there was a YouTube update, and it locked me out of Chief Brody Rules. So after I had just rebuilt myself up again, I get blocked out of YouTube because of the stupid update. So now I have Chief Brody Rules Lives. So at this time, I'm sort of lost motivation to edit because I was like, I just started over, and now it's gone again. So what the hell do I do? And I have here written October 2013, so that's probably right around the same time. I tested something out because so when you log into YouTube, it would say your email's not valid, you can't log in. Email's not valid, can't log in. So around October, maybe even November, where I logged in and it gave me an option like, do you want to use it as Frank Ireland or do you want to use it as ChiefBrodyRules? I'm like, hot damn, there's my channel. It's back.
Yeah, the Google Plus sort of days
Yes.
where now all of us still have 2 accounts, even though we don't need them. Yeah, great
Yes.
stuff, Google.
That's what happened that time. I think it was like the Google Circles as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that era. So like that's what got me back into it. So I was like, okay, I got to make a comeback. So I did that. How much longer does the program need? And there's some gags in there too. I remember, like, I would call it the Tory Black gag that that became infamous.
That's true.
And it's funny too because like I put it in there thinking like there's like a hand, like maybe nobody's gonna notice. And of all people, sorry, Kirk, blow you out there, but you were like Kirk said, "Is that Tory Black?" I'm like, yeah. It is. Well, that just cracks me because it was just a little bit of everything in that one. It's just throwing shit at the wall. You got Men in Black, you got Walter White, the pizza's on the house, or it's because it's free. And then
it's iconic.
Oh my god! Like, what are you gonna do next? And then it's even sort of like political. Like, there's like a little part where it like dates it in that time where there was that government shutdown.
It means we're on our own.
It means we're on our own. Yeah, and it's like a little time capsule of that era. It's like, it means we're on our own. And of course, they start a food fight. And ironically, in 2020, that was sort of similar to what actually happened with all these stores when everything shut down. Everyone went crazy.
Do you think you lean toward, because you mentioned earlier a lot about like the lip flaps and how important that is, and if anyone has seen stuff like Arlnauts, you'll know the pleasure of working with a masked character. Do you feel like Bane became such an icon? One, because Bane's great, he's got that iconic voice, but like, does it help that he's a masked character that you're like, I can do anything with this guy? He's Darth Vader, like he can say anything.
Yes, Bane can be anybody. Yeah, Bane can be anybody. I like that too. Like, you could just put whatever audio clip to that. And it's funny too because I think a lot of the clips I do because you just mentioned Arlnauts, a lot of the lines are from their little sound bite because they had like a little video they released of all the things they recorded as Bane. So I would use those and mix it in with the Bane audio, and that was awesome. I love the Arlnauts. Guys who are watching, subscribe to the Arlnauts. They're the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, their stuff, especially with Star Wars, is starting to replace actual Star Wars in my head. It's a problem.
That is a problem because I think I was watching like their prequel stuff, and it's like I know him as Larry now. That's so weird.
Yeah,
like that, like everything about that, and it's just so intricate as well. And like Darth Vader's like a completely different character throughout that series, and it's just wild. Yeah,
great stuff. But yeah, there's tons of stuff with Bane that I really appreciate. The Coming to America sort of singing bit with Bane, I believe the children are the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let them lead the way.
Like,
it's great stuff, and it's like it's simple in all the best ways because it's just there to make you laugh, and I feel like you really accomplished that during this era, and you've got, like I said, some of the biggest, most amazing stuff going on there, but you sort of live in that sort of fan trailer world. So that's, I guess, sort of shifts into your next evolution.
Yes. And again, I got to thank him because I think he helped me so many times. That Shades of Night, he gave me the audio from The Dark Knight for the upcoming project. Hang on, let me take my notes here. I'm an old man. I feel like Mike Stoklosa. I'm using papier. I'm using papier. Yeah, for that Die Hard Christmas with the Joker, he gave me the audio from The Dark Knight because at that time I was still learning how to get the trailer. Oh, not the trailer stems, the audio stems from DVDs, and this was before I really knew how to do that. I would really kick in throughout the next couple of years, but I think this one was like he helped me out with that. That was great.
It's good stuff. All right, so let's go down the list here. Once again, I mean, we're dealing with some of the stuff that's probably your biggest things. starting with the Frozen VHS trailer.
Yes.
We've got Frozen Unthawed, changing little kids' lives everywhere. GTA
Jesus.
Vice City, Frozen Global Meltdown, Die Hard Christmas with the Joker, and then Stay TV spots. So,
Yes.
I mean, Frozen, like, if you were to replace
Jesus.
Ariel with Elsa, I don't think anyone would sort of
Yeah.
have an issue with it, because that is like a phenomenon right there.
Okay, so just to get like inside baseball, because sometimes I talk about it, sometimes I don't, but like every once in a while I'll get comments, like right now for like the last 2 years I've been getting comments of kids like graduating high school saying that they watched Frozen or Little Mermaid in school, and that just blows my mind. Like this stuff that I made it was like a whole generation of kids watching this, and then they're growing up coming back to it. Like there's somebody else, like I think a couple days ago, was like, oh yeah, I was thinking about this video the other day and I had to rewatch it. I was like, oh my god, that's just wild.
It's iconic. I mean, as someone who only just watched Frozen for the first time last year, fantastic series. There's so much that's like ruined in a way because of, we were just talking about Arlenauts, how it replaces the Star Wars lore in my head. That's how it is with Frozen. I mean, not replacing it, because as I said, I just saw it for the first time. But it is that like my exposure and all the beats and all the jokes and all the things, like those exist primarily in there because of your stuff. I famously, everyone saw it, is iconic video where
iconic.
Sort of talked about what I thought about the plot was for Frozen before watching it. I posted it on Twitter. Well, Ray did. And like most of it, as you guessed, you were like, I think this is all stemmed, like pieced together from my videos. And it's true, you know, like my brain still hears when Hans falls into the water, I hear him coming back up. Like that's what I hear, you know, like this is ridiculous. So obviously, and we're sticking with the Disney sort of world.
Yes.
You do the VHS trailer first.
Yes.
So like,
okay, so here's the thing. All right, so I had a bootleg copy that I found online, and I'm like, this is my again, this is like the Inception thing, where the Inception trailer was online a day before everyone else had it. So I had a bootleg because I think it was the Oscars. So the Frozen movie was unnominated. So that's why there was like high quality bootlegs online, because people had the screeners. So I was like, I have an idea for a music video. Like, I want to know what love is, because there's a line in the movie where they're like, you don't know what love is, or something like that. Like, how do you know humanity just met? So I used that song for this trailer, and it's sort of inspired by Grand Theft Auto, because I think Grand Theft Auto did use that in one of the trailers. So I'll admit that. It probably was inspired by Grand Theft Auto. But that went viral. Crazy viral. And then the reason why the trailer was first is because it was actually part of Frozen Unthawed. So at the end, when it says Frozen Unthawed, this is the high quality version, is because I was editing on Frozen Unthawed at the same time, trying to get my gags out. And the thing that was funny about Frozen Unthawed, that was just supposed to be temporary. It was just supposed to be a placeholder. Like, I call dibs on these jokes. I'm going to make a better one, but this is just to call dibs.
Right.
And it went huge. Probably my largest, biggest video I've ever done is Frozen Unthawed.
Yeah, for sure.
Insanity.
And they're not Frozen, you know?
Yeah.
It's huge.
And it's funny how many people try to lift off that, because there's that infamous, like, you know how I do the eyes going tick tock, tick tock.
Oh yeah.
There's a YouTube poop out there called Frozen Cold, YouTube Cold, and it does the same gag, but not as good.
It's not nearly as clean. It's
and that's they banked off me. They made a living off me because they kept making mashups. I think they went all the way to like episode 6, and I can't do that. It's like, no, I got to move on. Speaking of moving on, I did the Frozen Global Meltdown, which was even more practicing with the visual effects and mashing different things up with that, because there's some wild shit in that one where they open up the door and the Velociraptor's there.
Oh my gosh! When it's like coming through the door there, and she's like on the floor. It's so good. That's so clean, especially for the time. Like, it's so clean. It's ridiculous. I was watching it the other day, or a while ago, with Ray, and we were commenting about how seamless it is. It should be that clean.
Yeah, because there's that, and then there's another one I like where like I found like an audio clip from some other video. I don't even know what one. It was like, because at that time I was like watching other YouTube poops and using different audio from them.
Yeah.
So there's like, are you fucking serious, dude? And it sounded exactly like Josh Gad. So when I put it in little Olaf's mouth, it cracked me up. And then outside the window for no reason is Godzilla roaring. Oh my god, it's so
With
funny.
the title card and everything. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think the Meltdown is the superior of the two.
Yes.
That's just me personally.
Yes. And to talk about it before I get ahead, because I know Jacob Dreamworks always talks about it, like, how come I never made a third one? There was going to be a third one. I'll admit that. It was supposed to be using Frozen Fever, because this was before Frozen 2 existed. It was only Frozen Fever. Yep. And I started doing gags, but it wasn't a gag a minute. It was like, here, nothing here, nothing here.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't do a video off this. And I was going to bank off, I was going to do what Christopher Nolan did. I was going to call it Frozen Unthawed Rises.
Perfect.
That was the title. It was going to be a joke off the Dark Knight Rises, because you got to put Rises at the end. That was the joke. I was never going to call it Refrigerated. I don't know why you keep saying that, Jacob. Jacob's out there. I know he's probably watching. I was never going to call it Refrigerated. Never. That's not my thing. If anything, I'd probably call it something else than Rises. I'd probably call it like Frozen, Legacy or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, like,
okay.
I did think, I still have ideas, like maybe possibly, because there's Frozen 2 now. And it's funny about Frozen 2, Anthony, because my Frozen videos are so embedded in my head. When I saw Frozen 2, there's so many things that I'm like, oh my God. It's like they watched my YouTube poop and then like filled in the blanks. Because they go through that boat where their parents died. I'm like, oh my God, get the fucking loads. And then there's that whole sequence where it goes into an 80s ballad.
Yeah.
Like the VHS
the
trailer. And I was just like, this is wild. So they definitely seen my work. Like, there's no question about it. And even like the opening scene, it's almost like we know ChiefBrodyRules is going to do something, because they did the Shining shot. It's like a helicopter shot going into Arendelle, and it almost looks like the dun, 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 with the font going up. I was like, oh my God, they know it. They know it.
So I guess with Frozen 2, obviously you never really did anything concrete with that. Like, was there a point where you thought you could have, and is there a future where you still could?
Possibly. We'll get to that, but I'm kind of thinking with that dumb Flash trailer. Fuck. Okay, so I'll say it. So I watched the Flash trailer. Okay. And seeing Michael Keaton with that zoom in when he's like, yeah, I'm Batman. It's like, oh my God, I could totally see the zoom in, like, you are, yeah, I'm Fiber. And it's going to be so good. And like when he does that little cheesy jump, it reminded me of my video when I had him turn into like a Looney Tunes character and then go and then dies.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
He does that in that trailer. And I was like, oh my God.
Bring it back.
I was so inspired by that. And not only that, but it's like time travel shit. Because there's some time travel ideas I want to have. Because is this within the era? Yeah. Scooby-Doo, the YouTube poop. So in Scooby-Doo, I think Do Hard, where Shaggy falls down and then he dissolves into another episode because they reuse the same animation.
Yeah.
I want to have like a thing where he disappears and they're like, Shaggy, and it's almost like a time rift. Like there's a time missing from there. So I want to have some sort of like time travel thing. I want to have it like the Twin Peaks returns of how much longer does the program need? Because we have the new Keaton Batman, who looks crazy. And then we have that. And then I want to incorporate some Halloween kills because I want to have little, what's her name? What's the daughter of Ariel? It's
Melody.
Melody, yes. Has Melody killed again? And have Melody standing in front of the Halloween house. It'd be so great. Oh my God, there's like little ideas like that. Like I want to incorporate that into how much longer does the program need legacy? Because there's just so many like stupid little things that I could, somehow like mash together. But I don't know. That's like further down the line. It's like I have other things to work on right now. But like I'm getting ideas. That stupid Flash trailer. I'm seeing Michael Keaton. Yeah, I'm Fiber.
I mean, I think it's obvious that a lot of people would love some sort of like return or at least like final sort of conclusion. I know for the longest time you were teasing like this big one. You had your Red Letter Media clips. This is Mike's 9/11. Like, and that's
that just fell through. Like I didn't have
that got Batgirled, but
it got Batgirled. Don't talk about it. It doesn't exist.
If it's not in the archive, then it does not exist. But yeah,
Yeah.
like this is your biggest period. How do you feel looking back at it and sort of knowing that, like, because obviously with any kind of YouTube channel, like whether it's career or not, if it's just a hobby, you can look back at that period and be like, gosh, this was it.
Mhm.
Like, do you think you could have continued that momentum, or are you sort of like, all right, that was a time. It is what it is.
Yes,
I'm
it's
different
very much
now.
that. It's very much like I did that. I'm done with that. I'm going on to the next project because, like, as you can see here in the next era, I'm going to bring it up in the banners. But like within the same year of doing Frozen, I think I did the freaking fan trailer transition where I started doing the Captain America Winter Soldier. Both of them, the first movie and the second one, and they're completely different. The first trailer is more aimed to be like a classic, like Disney release, like a Rocketeer, or like more specifically because it's sort of modeled after it, as the Angels in the Outfield. And then the Winter Soldier is more like 80s VHS, like hardcore rated R thing. And that started as a Punisher idea. I wanted to do a Punisher trailer, but I'm like, let me do Captain America because that's a funnier idea. Because I could incorporate like the time travel and him doing like the, where he's like dressed up as Captain America. I think that's more iconic. And then
Yeah,
Jackson.
it hit harder on that. The Winter Soldier trailer I showed in a creative writing class, because we had like a whole program. I hated that class. There was a part where we were supposed to like bring in trailers and we're kind of like dissect them and things, and it's like I don't even know all this. But I was like, well, I'll bring in a band trailer, but it's edited in a way that represents a very different era of trailers. And I showed that to the class, and then like that was sort of like, I don't think people sort of got what was happening, because it's like footage from the movies, but then it's not.
Yes.
And then my teacher like thought that the shot of the fembots from Austin Powers was from a James Bond movie, and I was like, I think so little of you, and you're just proving that.
Oh
But
my
like,
God.
I remember that I was like, I want to expose people to this sort of thing, because
Yes.
obviously VHS trailers, because of stuff like Frozen and this,
Mhm.
really did sort of take off. And I'm not going to say like, oh, it's because of you, Frank.
Because
You
of
did
you.
this.
You did this. But I was definitely like a front runner. I will say that. I was probably one of the 5 or whoever.
Well, you put in the effort. That's
Yeah.
what a lot of these projects are, if you don't mind me saying, is that I feel like, compared to some people, and granted, there are people that do a lot of crazy stuff, that they do try hard, but
Yeah.
like there's stuff here that feels like there's more of an appreciation for like what
Yes.
you're homaging, versus, okay, I gotta put on the 80s music and the thing, and then all right, that's done. This feels like,
Yeah.
I love the 80s VHS style, let me recreate it.
I don't know if anyone notices it because it's so like you have to know VHSs. But like the part I love, and I put a lot of effort in to make sure it happened at that certain point, because what I did was I would actually edit the thing on my editing system, put it on like a little say this is a thumb drive. I put it on the thumb drive, put it on my Xbox, the Xbox
Pretend it's a
connected to
seed.
the VCR. Pretend it's a seed, okay? So I put the thumb drive into the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 is connected to a VHS, and then I would convert it back to a little video file, and then I would take the VHS out, crinkle it, put it back in. And I tried so hard because there's a little segment, a little detail. You'll notice right before the sex scene that the tape gets all jittery, because I wanted to have like someone, and whoever watched this trailer kept rewinding to that part. And that's a little detail I added. And it's like, if you knew that time, because if you kept rewinding at a certain point in VHS trailers, you would notice that it would get like wrinkled. Like you say, like if you watch Jurassic Park so many times, like when the beginning of a Jurassic Park VHS, it would get all wrinkled because you kept rewinding over and over and over. So that's why that little part when it goes like to the building, it's all really crinkled because of that little detail. Like whoever owned this tape kept rewinding to that part.
That's brilliant. That is, see, that's the attention to detail, and
that
like
nobody
you
else
said,
does.
you have a sort of like a whole process of like, this is a gag that people aren't going to notice. Like you may not notice it, but your brain did, and like that's what really makes these things work.
Yes.
I mean, we were going to keep referencing it now because you brought it up. It's a look into your mind, whether it's the gags a minute, or if it is the details. It feels purely yours. Like there are very few things that I've seen on your channel that feel like I could see them anywhere. Yes. And I think that's what makes it stand out, because we've got a lot of different like eras here. It's kind of the whole point. But
Yeah.
there's sort of these continuing ideas and these continuing themes. And like I mentioned, you could have made superhero fan trailers. Like I said, you could have made Punisher and then Hulk and then whatever. Or yeah, you could have stuck in the YouTube poop realm. You could have made a billion Frozen videos, but you didn't.
Nope.
That's crazy to me. Like it's wild.
Kept just wanted to do something different, and this I find it funny because when this Winter Soldier first went viral, I remember someone said like they didn't like it because I used clips from RoboCop and Austin Powers, and that I could have used all the clips from the original movie. And I was thinking, like, how boring is that? How boring is it just to stick with one movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Defeats the purpose of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know? Like creates a very dreamlike reality. But real quick before we get into more of it, let's go and name some of the projects that we've got here in this era. We've obviously got the Captain America VHS trailers. We've got Jack Slater, Real Life, Princess Diaries, Die Hard, AVP, Friday the 13th, How Much Longer Does the Program Need 2? So returning to that sort of like YouTube poop world. The GTA fan trailer, it's all right. Back to the Future teaser, Hacker, Jurassic World 2015, and Child's Play Jingle All the Way.
Yes. And as I don't know if people know this, but the GTA one is your favorite one.
It's my favorite one. It's just so like talking about detail stuff. I just feel like there's so much here that feels like a movie, but also feels like a true adaptation of GTA. That like it's so specific to the world that they would never do it, right? Because
right.
I feel like when you say GTA, it's sort of like they would get too lost in the details and like try to make it like the game and sort of like try their best to not be like these types of movies. But it's like if GTA was a movie, it would look like this. It would have actors like this, and just like all the little stuff with it, like the helicopter, carrying the thing at the end. It's like that's GTA, like especially GTA 5 at the time. Like that was the world, and so I was blown away by this. I wanted to see this movie.
Yes,
I adored how much you were able to compact into the gaming experience, because the things people like about this, the music, the violence, all of it, you managed to kind of put it all together in ways that I feel like I said, would be sanitized. It would be lost in translation if they made a real GTA movie.
Wow, you just gave me a flashback. I completely forgot about it. So I think it was Screen Junkies. I think Screen Junkies emailed me, and they requested like, "Hey, we like your fan trailers. Can you make us a fan trailer?" I'm like, "Sure, I'm working on one right now." So I did this Grand Theft Auto trailer, and I got an email back saying, "Oh, can you use different music? It's copyrighted music." So it's like, where can I use copyright-free music? Because at this time, I'm fresh. I'm a brand newborn baby. I've been doing YouTube poop. And they never got me back to me. They never said, "Oh, we have a website, or you could use this, or we have a library here. Here's a link." They never got back to me.
Because like the worst thing you want to do is like, okay, well, how about this? And they're like, no, not that. And it's like, just tell me then. If you want me to make something, just tell me it. Don't waste my time.
Yeah, because I was like, well, this is pretty much like themed to the music, so I don't even know if I'd be able to restructure it anyway, because it's very much to the music. So I was like, okay, but like I never heard back from them, and that was whenever I made this, 2015. Yeah, I think 2015. Yeah. But yeah, like this stuff here, like, because I even calling it the motion picture, because I feel like that's what Grand Theft Auto would be called, the motion picture. It wouldn't even be called the movie. But yeah, I like that one. That's one of my favorites.
It's fantastic. Like it's just it manages to feel like a real trailer. I guess that's another thing about sort of fan edits, is sometimes people get lost in the sort of the spectacle of it, of like, I just need to put in this scene that gets this idea across, and then the rest is who cares. But like you sort of know the format that a trailer needs to go to, and that's something we're going to keep talking about him, because he's obviously an editor, our friend Kirk, where he has a clear influence from a lot of the sort of Nolan trailers, the pacing of it, the sort of the fade ins and outs, like there's a clear influence there, so you can tell that like, okay, this is like a real trailer versus, okay, I'm just going to composite these two characters in the same room, and then that'll be the cell, and we're done. I'm not going to name anybody specific, but there is that sort of community, and those tend to get really big. And as someone who was enjoying stuff like your work, where it felt more of an appreciation to the art of editing versus the the crossover aspect or whatever. I feel like this is a prime example. You can show this to somebody and be like, oh, is this a real movie? Like it can kind of trick them for a second. Because I used to show my parents a lot of your edits and stuff like that. And, the more that they can believe that it's a real thing, the better it's like, okay, no, then they get it. Because, I feel like if you showed them one of these other ones, it wouldn't click.
Yeah.
But this, you can imagine this on the big screen.
Yeah. The one I just rewatched it the other day because I was, prepping for this. I really like the real life trailer.
Yeah.
I feel like I could improve on it though, but like I really like the ideas about that. And it's so weird looking back on that because I had like the whole idea. I really wanted Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly to be in a movie. And now that'll
never happen.
Maverick happened. Oh my God. That's just wild. It's just like I finally get to see the couple that I shipped in the fan trailer actually get together in a movie.
Well, I guess that's a good question. I mean, as we approach the sort of the modern era, how often do you sort of look back at some of the stuff and think like, can you redo it? Can you update this or try again? Or, do you ever get that itch to tackle an old project?
I think the one that I really, really, really have the itch to redo would be the Dark Universe.
Okay.
The Dark Universe, because at that time I thought I needed voiceover for him to say I'm Van Helsing, because I thought without having him say that, I thought that was cheap. I thought like it's a cheat. Like you just write text on the thing that says Van Helsing. I didn't like that. I thought if he should actually say it, but in retrospect, I cut that out. And then there's a line where he says, "I don't think we could do this." This was before Christmas because I wanted to make sure it was uploaded before Halloween. But he says a similar line of all movies jingle all the way. Is because when he walks out in the backyard and he says steal from a kid, I don't think I could do this. I was like, shit, there's the line. Because I didn't think about watching Jingle All the Way because I'm like, because me and you, we always quote it. So we basically know the whole movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no lines I really need from Jingle All the Way. But when I rewatched it for that Christmas after I edited the Dark Universe, I was like, fuck, there's the line. But yeah, that's the one I really want to, if I could, I'd want to redo it with HD Blu-ray copies.
Right.
Get rid of those mistakes. And honestly, I think I would replace Kevin Bacon. I'd go to my original idea. I wanted to have Bill Murray.
Right.
The Invisible Man.
Invisible Man. Yeah.
Because I think that'd be even funnier. Or at least I could have like more lines. Like maybe I could be of assistance. Or, I don't do defense. Something like that. I like that. And then I remember for the longest time, because I remember you were like, because I would ask you guys on Twitter, I'd be like, should I use King Kong or should I use Norman? And I think you were an advocate. You kept like, you were like, what do you call it? A lobbyist. You're like, I want Norman. Put Norman in the video. So at the end, there's Norman, and it's probably the best gag in the trailer.
It is the best gag. So I'm glad you went with it. And if I went for it, then I was right. Because it's the bow. It is perfectly, it makes the whole thing work, in my opinion. It is brilliant. So good. I laugh to it to this day. It's ridiculous. Because
they're all 90s versions of those characters. So when it gets to the 90s Norman Bates, that's fucking hilarious. And it's funny too, because there's a scene where I think Brad Pitt, because it's a scene from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but Brad Pitt puts like a bottle. So it looks like Invisible Man's there putting a bottle on the TV, which cracks me up. So it even like works even more like on a different level if you're paying attention to like the little details in the screen. And then just having Arnold like react like, I don't hear anything, or like, what's that voice coming from? Mom, we're on high alert here. Hilarious.
It's the best. Come on. It's the best.
Yes. So what else from this era? Oh God. So this era, 2015, my editing system, like I think there was like a Windows update, Windows 10, Windows 11, another stupid update set me back. So I had to relearn my editing program.
Yeah.
So like that's when I did the Red Letter Media video. I don't know if people know this, but one of my highly rated videos is Mike and Rich talk about Alien, and that was just me learning how to edit again. And I know that has like huge numbers. It's probably like 500,000 views, but like that one was just, training wheels. Get back on the bike. How do I learn this new system? And then after that, I think like the next big one I did was freaking Jurassic World, which is insane.
Yeah. Which that feels like forever ago. And I guess it is. But
it is at this point, yeah.
It's weird now that we're in an era where I remember these being new, new uploads and all these things. It's weird to think of them as old projects.
Yeah.
But you talk about Jurassic World.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that went into that. So I think it started out as because I watched it. I like Jurassic World. I think I saw it 5 times in the theater. Loved it. I don't care. I loved it. So I was like, this is sort of like a 70s disaster movie. Yeah, Michael Caine. Okay, I could see that. Because I think the thing that really sparked the idea is that in all the TV spots, it's a line that's not in the movie, but Chris Pratt says, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it my way. It's not in the movie, but it's in all the TV spots and a few trailers.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, that's the same line that Michael Caine says in one of those 70s movies. If you want action, we're going to do it my way. I was like, holy shit. So that idea came in, and then I was like, who else can be in this movie? And it was sort of a reference to Oliver Harper's channel, because at that time I was watching his channel, and I loved him with Richard and Duncan before that even happened. My God, they broke up. This is how long ago this is. But I referenced all the Duncan Casey voices. So I had Michael Caine, Charlton Heston, Richard Pryor, and then sadly she just passed away, but Raquel Welch, because I love Raquel Welch, and I just wanted to throw her in there as like a bikini babe. But in the movie, she's a Mosasaurus trainer, so that's what I have her as. But yeah, it's a lot of fun putting that one together because it was just tons of research. We haven't really dived into that, but like when I do trailer mashups, I do loads of research. I create playlists on YouTube, and I just save videos and like watch them. Like I could watch like old trailers and see what lines people use or what clips I could use. So that's what I do for every trailer mashup I do tons of research to try to, know what movies to look for, know what lines I need, or just to figure out like, okay, I need this clip. Does this exist anywhere? And that's what I do. And this Jurassic World one is a huge example of that.
It's a lot of deep digging,
Yes.
So, I've heard you sort of describe it of like, all right, I need to watch these movies to see if there's anything I can use. If someone says this line, obviously we just talked about with Jingle All the Way, where it's like, if you had watched that clip, you would have kind of put it in there. But I guess how long you work on a lot of multiple projects, you're kind of in and out. But what do you think is that that period of start to finish?
Well, back in the day before I had like an active job, it would be like a couple weeks. I think it was a month back then. I think it would be a month, without a fully employed job. Because at that time, 2014, 2015, I had a part-time job. I was doing security. So I had a little bit more time. But yeah, it would be like a month at that time. But now it's like years. It's like I'm doing like a year of research and like a year of editing. Because we're going to get to it. We're going to get to the mystery box too. But that's like, oh my God, that's like 10 years of freaking research. Yeah.
Too much.
It's too much. And it's so good though, isn't it? It's like you can tell the research with it.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Like the hype reel is better than the trailer. We'll get to it.
We'll talk about it. There's stuff to talk about.
Yes. Okay. So the next section is boom. So in 2016, I get a fully, employed job, so it's like 7 a.m. till 4:30, full-time job. And right around this time, I get creatively stalled because I'm like, I can't do as much as I could before. And then even like imagination, because you talked about like, how much longer does the program need to? That was like me running out of juice. I was like, this is my last little bit of magic. This is me as Winter Warlock with my freaking corn that makes deer fly. It's like, I got no magic left. And so that was like just me just like throwing shit at the wall.
I just imagined you like, in jail.
Like all I have is just a few candles, some corn. Make reindeer fly.
Oh my God. That's
but
amazing.
Yeah, like at that time, 2015, I was like using all my imagination. And then 2016 was when I stalled, but this was like the start. Because you could read these here. The Frank Ireland Show, BVS, Force Awakens. Those are pretty big. The Force Awakens VHS trailer, which is, I think I made it for you because I'm like, only Anthony will get this, is the Babysitters Club theme. Oh my God. And then it's the canceled BVS trailer. That was what happened in 2016. That was the waste of time. Because for those who don't know, in 2016 there was a lot of, or not even 2016, from like 2013 until 2016 there was tons of Batman versus Superman fan trailers, and I saw that other people were doing it. I was like, okay, how can I do that? How can I toss my hat into that ring? And I had the idea of like, okay, how about I do Christopher Reeve and Keaton, right? Because everyone else is doing Cavill and Ben Affleck. It's boring.
You're my friend, Cal. I never would have done this to you.
Flow too close to the sun. But it was just so boring. Or would you look at that? So there's all those clips. So I was trying to do Keaton Reeves, but as of course I just said, I do loads of research. I saw that Alex Luthor did his video. He called it a trailer, but basically it was like a 5-minute mashup of like all these different things. And I was like, shit, it's been done. So I had to try to find a different way. And I'm going to show the clip here because I actually have it here and put the audio on. But I decided to change it from Keaton versus Reeves to Batman Hush, directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't know how many people have seen this one, but I'll show it up here.
Every demented outlaw has come to town to do battle with Batman. No one asked him to fight crime, and until he stops, our lives and property are in danger from this menagerie of costumed freaks.
People of Gotham City, nobody's above the law.
Batman, if you really want to help Gotham City, retire.
Your hospital has a new surgeon, this whiz kid from Mass General.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Patient may suffer from obsessional syndrome with potential homicidal tendencies. For them, it is about rage, frustration, hatred. They feel pain and they're determined to share it with the world.
So, today a subway car, tomorrow what?
Bad things happen to good people all the time for no reason.
Take my word for it.
Have I got your attention now?
We're the only thing between that bastard and innocent people.
There's a war going on out there, and you're gonna have to pick a side.
You asked me if I have a God complex. Let me tell you something. I am God. I need your help.
Boy, you are in for a show tonight, son.
My life is really complex.
I want him to know that I was holding the strings.
He's out there right now. I've got to go to work.
Don't worry, too late.
I shall liven things up for you.
I call it the bat.
Think you can handle it?
Yeah.
I tried to avoid all this, but I can't. It's just something I have to do. Because nobody else can.
Your wife said you were taking a cab home.
I remember that part.
That's the best gag. That's the best gag. So that one was supposed to be Alec Baldwin as Hush. And it was like clips from Malice and things like that. And it was supposed to be my version of the Dark Knight Rises. Like Bane would be Hush. And he basically breaks down the Batman, Michael Keaton. And that was the idea. But like it stalled so bad. And that's like basically my, that's, you see my process right there.
Mm-hmm.
Where I have the clips in generally the area where I'd want them. But I just need to find the visuals and all that. But I never finished that idea. I got so uninterested in it because I was just like, oh God. Like I don't know, I wasn't solid with it. I thought it was kind of weak. And so that was 2016 where it's like that sat on my hard drive for like a whole year, fiddling with it here and there, using clips, moving this, moving that. I think I even had to order like a out of print, like hard to find Billy D. Williams movie just to get that I Need Your Help. So it's like I spent a lot of money on that project. I bought like all these freaking DVDs. I bought like My Life. I bought A Good Cop. I bought like whatever Mask for Death, I think it was called. But yeah, it was just a bunch of research that I did for that, and it was just like, ugh, I spent so much time on that. You know, just like looking back on it, it's like I spent too much time on that when I could have been doing something else, you know, because
Right.
it ended up evolving into something better, which is the DC universe.
Yeah, which obviously we'll get to. But so whenever, like, obviously this is a project that's just never materialized properly. At what point do you feel like you can properly say something is canceled? Because obviously you spend a lot of time working on stuff. You come in, you come out, you kind of see if you can fiddle with it. How do you know it's like, okay, this ain't gonna work. This is done.
It's the point. I feel like there's a point, like if it's been like a couple of months, and then I feel like Homer when he puts that umbrella into the grill. I think that's what it is, because it happened with this project, and there's tons of projects that it happened to. There was an alternate mystery box movie that I wanted to do. It was supposed to be a sequel to Reset. Never seen the light of day. I'm not even sure I've talked about it much, but it was supposed to be starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was supposed to be him time traveling. Like, it opened up with like 80s, where he's from the Cold War and he's a spy, and then at the end of the trailer, it was supposed to be him saving himself. Like, he goes to like this opera house where he's at, and he has to stop him, like someone else, from killing him because of something happens. But it was so like complicated as an idea. Even explain it now, it's just like, I don't even know, like, what the hell. But like, it was something like that, where it was like a bunch of ideas using Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, trying to make it like a spy movie, where like he was in the Cold War and like Vietnam, things like that. And it was just, I couldn't make it work.
I mean, I don't think you've ever talked about that too much, because that doesn't sound familiar to me. But
yeah.
I mean, because we'll get to Reset. That's very, I don't know. That's a creative one. So
yeah. So go 2017, basically.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Reset. So what do you have any questions about Reset? Because I know I've done a video on it already, and I've kind of talked about it.
Right.
What's your opinion on Reset?
Well, my really question is like, how did you know that you could do an original idea? You know, like, what made you feel comfortable basically creating a movie? Because it's one thing to create something. Also, T Hamill, we haven't been looking at the chat at all. But
yeah, it's been kind of a light chat, like, where there's like, oh, I like that, great era.
Yeah, T Hamill's heading out, so just want to say bye.
Yeah, Tim Hamill has had enough.
But
He's
yeah,
so
fan trailers is all about, you know, creating already established stuff, and we'll get into the DC universe and everything. But Reset is a fictitious movie, 100%. Yes. It's a time travel sort of wacky thing where you know, I feel like some people sort of look at that and they're like, wait a minute, what is it? It's like you're thinking too hard on it. It's purely like a conceptual weird movie. The title Reset is really great. Like, how do you reach that point where you're like, okay, this is an original thing, and how do you think it's going to work?
Okay, so for that one, let's see. I think I wanted, like, there was two things. So I think I was waiting for because at this point when I started doing Reset, I was like, okay, Bruce Willis Batman, John Cusack Superman. Let me wait for Batman versus Superman and Justice League to come out, or something like that. I think that's at that time, because I already had all the Batman. I already had all the Bruce Willis clips, so it's like, okay, let me try doing this. So with this one, it was like, I want to do something with time travel, because I years ago, again, I'm doing a little Frank Miller thing. There was a Bruce Willis music video where someone did a transition where it was like Bruce Willis turning, and it was through all these different movies, but it was like the same angle. Yeah. And I was doing that. I was like, I like that idea, but how can I build off that? What can I do to tell a story to do that? Again, Frank Miller. So what I did was, I was like, okay, time travel. I'm going to use the Back to the Future car, because there's so many viral commercials that use that vehicle. Right. Like, I think a lot of that stuff in the trailer is barely from the movie. It's all from commercials.
It's time travel shorthand, you know?
Yeah. It's like, you know what it is. When you see the DeLorean, you know it's a time travel machine. You know what it has to do. And it's funny, because like, there's some people that can't get past that. They're like, why didn't you use a different vehicle? It's like, what are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's like, other people were like, is it a Terminator sequel? Oh my God, you did Terminator Back to the Future. It's like, no, the idea is that they're making robots and they're taking over, and it's time machine. And it's like, you're thinking too literally of the clips. It's like, it's just a guy who's a time cop, basically, and he's messed up the timeline so bad. And like, you know, he's just trying to fix it. And it's just so funny. Like, people try to make it more than it is, but like, if you just watch the trailer and just take it as time travel cop goes through time, he's got to fix it. There's a problem, he's got to do it. It works. It works. I like it.
No, it's fun. It's one of those things where, like I said, yeah, I think people can get lost in the details. I remember connecting it to another, once again, Shades of Night video. He had the Batman Green Arrow series, that he did with all the TV spots. That's another
That's
thing.
right.
Kirk does great. He has like a whole campaign where he does TV
I
spots, and
was
then he
I was
does
so
like the
jealous of
Blu-ray
that.
ads.
He was so cool with those.
So good. But I remember people would ask questions regarding of like, oh, does this tie into this regarding to the lore of the Dark Knight films and the Arrow show? And it's like, no, like you kind of have to pretend those things didn't happen, but understand the visual language of the movies.
Yes.
And I think that sometimes that can kind of screw it up a bit because I know obviously there's all the Terminator stuff. You've got the DeLorean. It can be a bit of a bit much, I guess, but I think you finally do nail it when you do get to your DC Universe stuff, because it's almost sold as like a sizzle reel in a way.
Yes.
That it's like, especially with that first one, it's disguised as like unearthed sort of
Yes.
material. Like I think that does help, and maybe people caught on eventually. Granted, you'll always have people that are a little bit slow to the pickup, but I do remember this one being a bit harder to sell, and I guess that's kind of what I mean in creating an original idea of. You clearly had the confidence of, I people will get this. Maybe not everybody, but there are people that will get that. And I mean, it's a Bruce Willis time travel film. It seems like it's for you.
It's for me. I was just gonna say, like, it's Bruce Willis. No one else is gonna use Bruce Willis movies for their mashup. They're gonna try to find Christopher Lloyd movies and use all his like 5-minute cameos from different movies to try to make something that's like, no, that's not me. I want to tell a story with my favorite actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something that could be appreciated with a lot of your stuff is, right to the beginning, we've been talking about the whole time, is it feels like these are your ideas. And we talked about the banner already by the wonderful Phil. Like, it feels like if you go here, you know what you're going to get.
Yes.
These are the characters, these are the themes, and you either vibe with it or you don't. And as silly as it sounds, comparing it to like actual sort of like big filmmakers, but people know what they're getting into when they see a Fincher film or a Tarantino film or a Nolan film. And the fact that you can create a brand, Shades at Night, that guy doesn't even make videos anymore. You know what you're getting into. And I feel like that was cool that you made a brand for yourself in this world. And we've already mentioned, you could have just made YouTube poops. You could have just made superhero stuff, but you didn't. And I think that's interesting. That's why Reset is definitely the most interesting thing here. Cause obviously we've got some other stuff.
Go through the list. Yeah.
We gotta name the Buddy Cop BVS, which is like, it's too good. You didn't make that. We've got 90s BVS. We've got unboxings. We've got PNF, Hope, the video essay, which is totally different. We've got the PTA filmography.
That's
Mr.
right.
Paul Thomas Anderson. We got the Batman, and that's, I guess, transitions into the sort of retirement years where you've got Dark Knight Returns, Tim Burton, a lot more of the, I don't know, the stuff that you would expect today. The Frank Ireland Show, Dark Universe. How much longer does the program need? The final program for now, and then Gone Girl, which I just watched the other day, by the way. So we'll get into
that. This era was like all over the place, and it's funny because like this, you just mentioned the Buddy Cop. This started out as like a Sam Gavin tweet where he's like, "Oh my God, he knocked down the building." I'm like, "I'm going to make that as a trailer." And I think he said that way back in 2016. I said, "I'm going to do that trailer." So finally, I think in 2017, I finally did it. And this is the trailer, which is just goofy ass shit. The best. Oh yeah, wait. This is the best part here. Hang on, put the volume on. Oh, wait, no.
We're sending somebody into the ghost.
Wait, where is it?
Entire human.
Here it is. Best part.
It has been decided that you will take on a new partner,
Mr. Wayne.
I was gonna cook fries here. We fight. We betray one another. I mean, good guys.
Left. I don't know.
Guess I'll just have to trust him.
It's so stupid. That's just silly crap too. That's just like, I'm just being goofy. And that went viral. And it was funny too, because I think there was a whole article where it was like, this editor was inspired by Samuel Gavin, who was like a film editor or whatever. I was like, this is fucking hilarious, because it was just
friends goofing around.
Goofing around. Oh my God. And you mentioned it. which I kind of find like I had to list it because it was a big moment in my editing career, but I haven't watched it. I feel it's cringe. It's the Hope DCEU video essay.
Yeah.
Like, there's things I like about it. There's definitely things I like about it, but I feel like all the things that I added last minute, no, I should have left those out. Because there was a thing where you did a response video, and like all your responses were all the shit I added like last second before I uploaded it. I was like, he got me. He knows, but like
I didn't know. That's right, a DCE response.
You did nope. Yeah, but it was funny though, because like everything you did mention was like little last minute shit that I was like, do I need it? Nah, I should mention it. I could have left it out and I would have been solid. But like, there's some ideas after seeing the Snyder Cut that actually followed through. I was like, oh, thank God. It wasn't a lie. There was actually promise that he set up in the first two movies that would pay it off in Justice League. Thank Christ. Because after a while, I was like, oh my God, thank God. Because there's some things in the DCU Hope video where I mentioned like, oh, I think he's doing this. I think he means this. And then when that 2017 movie came out, I was like, this is dog shit. This is no. But after the Snyder Cut, I was like, okay, yes, he delivered on those promises.
Yeah, he has an idea. I mean, no matter what people think about the Snyder stuff, it's so clear that he had something. I always talk about it. It's ideas versus execution, and it's just how you enjoy the execution of it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like that was a huge project that you had done, mashed in between all this other stuff. It was, I don't know, a very evolutionary period for you.
Yeah,
I would say
this was okay. So in 2017, I had a health scare. Literally going to die, and another reason why you're here is because like literally I was gone off Twitter for 5 days, and you're the only one who said, hey, where's the hell's Frank?
I was worried. You tweet all the goddamn time, so
yeah,
it's like if you don't tweet for a minute, it's like, well, something's up.
Yeah, but yeah, I had a health scare. I was literally going to die. Like they said, if you go home now, you're going to not live the night. So I went to the hospital. They pumped me out. It was terrible time. But after living through that, I was like, well, I got to finish all my video ideas I've always wanted to do. So that was like the BVS 90s trailer. Because like at that time, before, the health scare, I think I wanted it to be perfect. It's like I want to tell the story of Superman and then introduce Batman and then the death of Superman and then Batman recruits the Justice League and it's going to be a super 5-minute video. I wanted to do that, but then I had the health scare and I was like, fuck that. I'm going to just do the concept, cut it down. What do I really need? What do I actually have that's here? So that's what I did. I did the 90s Batman versus Superman. And I did a video talking about that. So if you want to see the details on that, I do talk about that. But yeah, do you have any questions on the BVS trailer before we go to the next trailer?
Well, obviously, I mean, we got to get into the nitty gritty of BVS because that was another thing. Is obviously I was
that's right. You were a big part of it because originally the original idea was only to release the reaction video. That legit was the idea because I was like,
that was a bad idea. Come on.
I know it's a bad idea, but that was the idea because I'm always trying to reinvent the mashup.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the original and only cut is going to be Anthony reacting to the trailer. And it was so funny because people were so pissed in the comments, or at least I think they were pissed. They're like, oh my God, where's this video? I want to watch it. And you're the only one who had a copy. Oh my God.
Yeah. I remember that bit because Ray had already moved to here in Texas, and she was living with me at my parents' house, and so she helped me film that, if I remember correctly. And so like that's how long ago this was. And so yeah, I remember we did that, which was super fun, and I was genuinely excited. It was something where when I started, I was like, all right, I'm gonna hand this up. I'm going to make it like a reaction video, like I'll sit in just silence, like for most of it. And then be like, oh, losing their mind. But then like I started listening to Harvey Dent, then I had a genuine reaction to it. And yeah, this was post the documentary of the
Death of Superman.
The Superman Lives documentary, the Tim Burton film. And so, yeah, we knew all about that stuff. So when you use like the Skull Ship and Brainiac and like, it's great. And there's some really stellar shots. You just made a post about it yesterday, right? Of the
because I was
John Cusack on the Superman Returns body going, yes, like that.
Yes,
looks too good.
Yeah, there's other shots that are like passable, like they're okay, like they're just trying to get the idea across. But that one was so good because I was watching the other day. I'm like, it's like a freaking jump scare. It's like, whoa, this looks like legitimate like test footage that they did. Yeah, and yeah, like that clip. So what I did was I found like there's a scene in Runaway Jury where it's almost like the same lighting, and I used that head and sort of like meshed it over the what's the name? What's that kid's name from
Brandon Ralph?
Brandon Ralph, yeah, kid. But like I put Cusack's head over that and I blended in the neck, and I think I did stretch it a little bit because I think he's a little thinner, so I just stretched it a little bit bigger to match Cusack's body. But that looked really good, and there's some other visual effects in there that are okay. Some are terrible, but yeah, it all gets the idea across of Bruce Willis, John Cusack, and a Batman trailer or Superman trailer, I should say.
Well, explain the casting a bit, because
Yeah.
this is inspired casting. Obviously, one of them is a bit more obvious,
controversial.
You
yeah.
are. I know partial history part of one of them, but yeah, go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, so the Bruce Willis one is definitely me. That's because he's my favorite actor, and I knew lines, and it'd be easier to edit because I had it all for reset. So I was like, okay, I could do that. Denzel Washington as Gordon, that was such an idea I love so much that I was
That's an inspired choice.
I wish I could do so much more with that, but I only did 2 trailers, and you can only do so much. Yeah. But and then the other one was Jennifer Connelly as Lois Lane. Of course, from other previous videos, she's like my main girl. She's like, she's in real life, she's in this, and then she's later on in what do you call it, the Godzilla trailer, the Mystery Box 2. But yeah, she's my main person. And then John Cusack, which is kind of controversial at this time because since history has changed it. But Max Landis, he mentioned it in one of his videos, like John Cusack should have been Superman. And that's what gave me the idea to try doing something different, because everyone else in the world has done Henry Cavill, Michael Keaton, Christopher Reeve, all that. I wanted to do something that was me, because there's hundreds and thousands of movies out there. And I wanted to do something that was specific to me. Like, you watch that, like that is Frank right there.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do with the Batman, the DC universe that I'm creating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works because it does separate it for people. It creates something that they've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted fan art of me as Superboy to the John Cusack Superman. It adds up. I've been told my whole life that I've had John Cusack energy.
Yes.
And I get it. But I think it was, once again, it's that commitment to the bit, like the music choices, the feel of like it's a little Bay, it's a little Emmerich, like it's got all the that era of trying to create Spielberg 2.0 of like big, beautiful sort of emotion stuff, like before the Abrams era started, where it's like trying to recreate the summer blockbuster in a sort of like American way, like Independence Day. Like it has that feel of like loud and proud and just like really
patriotic.
It's like really proud to be here. And it still has, like, it's 90s, so like we're leaning into the new age, but it still has like just enough kind of grit to it. And you keep it all very smart. You keep Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. Which
that was great. Yes, I love that. That was one of my things when I was watching Runaway Jury, because I was doing it because like more inside baseball at the time. Like I wanted to do David Morse as Lex Luthor, but I knew those clips really didn't exist. So I was like, who can I use? Because like David Morse, like if I were to actually do a 90s one, I'd probably use him. He's always like a bit role in those movies, but if he was like the lead Lex Luthor, I think that'd be so awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I never was able to use him, but I used Gene Hackman because I thought that was good, because Gene Hackman had some good interactions in the movie Runaway Jury with John Cusack. And I was like, oh shit, that's good. Just make it an updated Lex Luthor. It's like a little bit of the old world of the 70s movies with the new, 90s, bringing it all together. Something that was familiar. Like, you don't want to reset the whole thing, but you want to take like a little piece. Like Lex Luthor would probably be the best part for a 90s reboot.
Yeah, well, it's like when they brought M back from the Pierce Brosnan Bond films into the Daniel Craig ones. Like, there's just stuff that works. You know, J.K. Simmons in the Spider-Man movies. Like, it's people can accept it when it really does work, and it's I think it does. I think it's really interesting. It's got a nice vibe to it. I guess. Well, I want to transition to the filmography stuff, but I also would stick with the DC stuff right now because obviously you've got more projects here because you do both Batman and Dark Knight Returns. You've really milked the Bruce Willis's Batman cow.
Yes, he's the cow that keeps on giving.
So let's talk about Batman.
Yeah, like briefly we'll talk about it because we could get moving. The Batman was okay. So in 2014, I made this list on Tumblr that was basically like a list of things to do one day. You know, like mashups, music videos, things like that. One of them was a serious George Clooney trailer.
Right.
And that never happened. It slowly transitioned to the Bruce Willis thing because I was like, okay, now that I've established this world, instead of rebooting it again, doing the George Clooney Batman, how about I just carry over something I already established? Bruce Willis Batman, Gordon as Denzel, and just bring it over to a feature-length movie and mix a little bit of like Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises, even the Dark Knight, because they have the Joker in there as well, and like a little bit of Batman Forever in there as well, just to like sort of blend everything together. Like things are familiar, like Chase Meridian.
So to see things I recognize.
You see things that you recognize, and it works though. It works though because like the audience doesn't have to take that big giant leap. It's like, okay, I recognize this, I recognize that, and even like the casting, like of course you're going to use Bill Pullman as Two-Face. That's perfect. And then you have the Bruce Willis Batman, and then you have Denzel, and then you have Willem Dafoe as the Joker. And I find it so funny that there's been several comments where it's like, you should have showed him more. You should have showed the Joker. It's like, that's not the point. The point is that like it's supposed to tease him.
It's the reveal at the end.
Yeah, it's supposed to get you to the theater.
Money shot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's supposed to get you to the theater to see him because I don't understand that.
Well, that's the difference between your edits and like general edits is that people sort of put in like their ideas into a sort of like a trailer edit and just try to get all the beats in there, get all the meats. And like for years, it's more of an actual trailer. So you're right. Like if they're making a movie with the Joker in it, you sort of tease the Joker and then you have one shot of them. People go like, whoa, I got to see that.
Yes.
Like the Joker's in this. You're not going to give away the whole show for free. And I think that's something that people miss with a lot of their stuff. And I think both Batman and Dark Knight Returns, it's really interesting. I guess more so, I guess, because we can talk about the trailer editing all we want, but the hype to the Dark Knight Returns, you've got your 4th of July build up.
My God. Yeah, I was watching that again. I was like, that's good hype. Because like it's been a while, so like I haven't rewatched it lately.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and it seems like I'm going to make a 4th of July music video.
Yeah.
Like literally, it has like all this, iconic, iconic visuals from film and 4th of July, and then all of a sudden it ends with the bat like wing coming up, and then it's like the shining bright for all the Gotham to see, and it's like from sea to shine. It's like, yes, that is exactly what they would do nowadays. Like they would try to build hype and make you think you're watching like a 4th of July video. Oh, that was the other thing I noticed with my projects. I think it started with BVS where I would try to release it every July.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that happened for a long time until probably last year, where every July there was a big ChiefBrodyRules release.
You got this year to make up for it, man.
Oh God, no.
Well, we talked. There you go. There you go. That's your new deadline.
Oh God, that would be funny for a 4th of July release. Kristen Stewart.
Yeah. All American Girl. All right, so let's get into the filmography stuff.
Yes,
because I watch the Tim Burton one like all the time. Like
there you go.
That one is such a good video. I love what you did with that. Once again, there's bits in there where like certain audio transitions into lines like that. Those just stick in my head.
Yes.
Like it's just how it is. And when I hear the Beetlejuice theme, sometimes I see the Tim Burton film, like I see the title cards come up. I don't know, it's very interesting, especially with like Tim Burton nowadays. In a meta way, it almost felt like it was time to like give him some appreciation, because so many people look at it now. It's like any director, you sort of get into their sort of twilight years and people are like, Alice in Wonderland, Dumbo. And it's like, I get it. People can always look at a director and be like, oh, after X film, they went downhill. They haven't made a good film since then. But this felt like, whether you like the films or not, and sometimes you do this too, whether you like the films or not, it suddenly you feel like you're the biggest fan of films.
That's what happened with that video. Like, because I originally wanted just to do a music video with Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice.
Right.
But then as I started doing that, I'm like, well, I could use his other movies. And then I sort of fell in love with his movies. And like things I had never seen. I had never seen that Miss Partridge or whatever the hell it's called. It's Gertrude, whatever. The time
X-Men.
travel kids. Yeah, the X-Men kids. That one was pretty decent. And I liked Frankenweenie, because I had never seen that one before.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of movies I watched. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. And even Big Eyes. Big Eyes I never saw in the theater.
Right.
So when I saw it, I used it for my mashup. I'm like, there's good pieces here, Marcus. There's good pieces. And it's like, I still love the guy. I still love his movies, and it's all iconic visuals. And not only that, but like, again, I don't think I'd be able to make that Tim Burton or even the Paul Thomas Anderson one without my knowledge of YouTube poop, because I feel like there's like DNA. I know you notice with the Tim Burton one. The Tim Burton one, it's like they get hit, they fall into the chandelier, it falls into the different movie. It's all connected.
A line leads into a line. I love it.
And he spits out the teeth, and it's the teeth from Beetlejuice and not the Batman. And then how he says, "You're crazy," after saying killing him. It looks like they're sitting at the same table. There's things in there that I use from my YouTube poop days to, make a filmography video that I really like doing. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, you're right. Like the DNA is totally there, and that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy, is seeing this like Frankenstein's monster in a way.
Yes.
You even reference his Hansel and Gretel like film that he did. Like it's full of cool stuff, and I think I can always appreciate that. Like I mentioned, is even if someone isn't a fan of like every little detail, every little thing, and you watch it, you're almost like tricked into thinking like, gosh, like suddenly I'm a fan of every Tim Burton project.
Yes.
And it's like you think about it, you're like, well, no, I'm not. But this makes it look like it's the greatest filmmaker ever, and I think that's a really good tribute, because it's supposed to be a celebration of their work. And obviously you have the Tarantino project coming, and I'm very excited for that.
I got like that one. There's so many things I'm noticing, like just spoiler alert, but like in the beginning of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's dialogue in the Rick Dalton trailer where he says, there's 3 of them and 1 of me. And I have that audio clip for the end, because there's 3 Manson people with 1 Cliff Booth. And it's like, oh, damn. It's like it's all connected in that movie. There's like setup and payoff in that movie. You might not notice it, but your brain did in that movie. It's so good. So I'm excited about that, the Tarantino one. And I'm even throwing in some of his collaborations. I'm throwing in a little bit of Sin City and Dust by Dawn, and probably try to squeeze in his CSI episode. Okay. But yeah, I want to throw some things in that Tarantino one, which I having fun with.
Last one we'll mention before we move on to the final era, the modern day, 90s Gone Girl, which feels like something out of like left field. It's so weird. That's another one I watched again pretty recently. It's but when you boil it down to your previous work, like it makes sense.
Yes.
But like, who in their right mind is making a 90s Gone Girl trailer to like what
in 2019, like 5 years after the movie came out?
Now that I think about that, is relevant. VHS trailers aren't relevant. Gone Girl isn't relevant. Harrison Ford is hanging on by a thread. Like, what are you doing?
I have no idea. If anything, like if we could like really try to break it down and use a slide ruler and a T-square, I was sort of inspired by the pre-makes. I don't know if you remember those. Those were like way back in 2010, 2009, where someone made pre-makes of Ghostbusters and something else. I think it was Star Wars. But and Up. I think someone pre-made Up, or the same guy. And I was sort of inspired by that work. But I love, because I think at this time when I made 90s Gone Girl, I was really into rewatching The Fugitive and I think I was like really no, seriously, I was watching The Fugitive, Presumed Innocent, and then I think I was like watching more like I think it was like Working Girl. That was another one, like the Harrison Ford. I don't like action Harrison Ford. I'm going to be straightforward. I don't like action Harrison Ford. He's okay. He's decent.
He's okay.
But I like human Harrison Ford in movies, where
right.
he's regular guy Harrison Ford. And I also like 90s romantic comedies. And I also saw this as a way to do research on different 90s romantic comedies. Because originally it was supposed to be Sharon Stone.
Oh, okay.
But then as I was working, I'm like, no, wait, let me use Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of good clips there that I could use for their interactions. Because there's the Runaway Bride. There was the one where the Pelican Brief where she cuts her hair. And like literally like wearing the same outfit from Gone Girl, which just blows my mind. And because whenever she puts on like little fanny pack and then she has like the braids, I was like, holy shit, this is straight out of Gone Girl, that movie. And it was just fun doing all this research to do this 90s Gone Girl. And again, nobody gives a shit. It's 5 years after the movies come out, and it's just for like we've been saying it this whole time, but it's like it's for me. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it pays off because like it's these littler projects like that come out of nowhere that really sell it. Like we mentioned earlier, Reset. It's something where no one's demanding it, but because you have the idea, you're that much more passionate about it. So I think that's where it really pays off.
Yeah. The only bummer thing is like I'll put all that work in, like a whole tons of research, and then upload it, and it'll get like 500 views, and I'm like, oh damn. But it's like I'd rather do something I want to do than something that someone tells me to do or something I'm doing for views. It's one of the reasons why I never really did a Spider-Man trailer, because I really don't give a shit about Spider-Man as a character. I like the movies. I like Sam Raimi. I love those movies to death.
Yeah.
It's like right there, I've done it. But I do like those. I like those movies. But it's like there's so much more interesting things to do with Batman and Superman. It's like that's why they keep rebooting them. It's because there's things to do.
Yeah, they don't reboot Spider-Man. You're right. There's nothing to do with that character.
They do, but I don't care. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because I've never seen Homecoming, and I've never seen Far From Home, so that's why it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I don't think of them rebooting it, because I don't give a shit about Tom Holland.
That's fair. I missed one of those films too. I had to see the newest one just because it was,
the newest one. But and it's funny because that first 5 minutes of the new one retcons everything in the first two movies, so they're not necessary anyway.
It's fine. Yeah. That one's kind of a mashup. Yeah, maybe they watched your work and threw in some lines of dialogue from the other films. And
that is a crack vid, isn't it? Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. We're not here to bash
moving on.
MCU.
Moving on.
So we're in the current day. Yes. So it's a lot of talking about things to come. But arguably your biggest, most recent project was the sort of hype mystery box with the Godzilla trailer, and I've gone on record saying that the hype video itself is better than the actual trailer. The actual trailer is good. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot to love about it, but no one's doing what you did with the hype trailer. So that's what really sells it for me.
So this hype trailer is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, because when I did the 90s DCU universe, I literally wanted to do a press pack. I wanted to have interviews of John Cusack and Jennifer Connelly and Bruce Willis advertising Justice League. But like all the John Cusack interviews are like bad quality. They look like they're like this big, stretched out to this big. And then Bruce Willis gives nothing during his 90s interviews. Like he is so like a shit interviewer. Like I love the guy. I love the guy, but he's such a shit guy back then for like press. And this, because I realized I had been working on the Godzilla trailer for almost a year during COVID, that nobody knew what the fuck I was working on. Like everyone on Twitter knew, but like no one on my Chief Brody Rules knew. So I was like, well, I got to make a hype reel to advertise what I'm making. So when it comes out, there's at least some viewers or something.
Yeah.
So this hype reel was just like tons of, I don't even think it was tons of research. It's like, you watch these all the time. You know what they're supposed to be. So all I did was like look up Brad Pitt interviews, JJ interviews, and just edit it as if I were doing this for an actual movie. Like, okay, I have these clips I need. What do I need to do? And it's funny because I think coming up here, there it is.
There it is. There it is.
That's the hint. That's the hint. That was the only hint that this was a Godzilla trailer, was that little Godzilla. And there's a little edit here that I think is really good because right, it's coming up when they're walking through the factory. It matches, even though they're two different movies. So it looks like J.J. Abrams is filming Mark Wahlberg right here. And it looks like they're in the same studio, and they're not. One is in Star Trek, and one is in Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah.
And it's so funny when he says the scope of it, and then they both say scope. I'm like, that's hilarious. They must just be given like a thesaurus. Like, you have to say scope. Try to say the movie's big. Try to say it's going to be huge, and you like working with everybody because it's so generic. That's what I love about this. Even Jennifer Connelly stuff. She is so. Oh yeah, there's more reference right there. Ann Driscoll. So if you knew the name Driscoll, you would know that it was a King Kong reference. That was a little inside. I was like, ooh. And then the Steven Spielberg interview. The reason why he's not on screen is again because in 2011 it looked like a little interview filmed on like a little like a tiger toy. Right. So I was like, oh geez, I can't use the clip, but I like the audio of him saying JJ's working with different styles and such.
Well, yeah. it works, because like it's Spielberg, so it's almost like just hearing his voice. You already had the same emotions. Like you don't need to see him. Like it's Spielberg. You know who it is.
Yeah. You don't need Spielberg. But yeah, it was like it's all my regular people: Jennifer Connelly, Bruce Willis, and then some new people, my new favorite actors who I haven't worked with before in previous things, which is Brad Pitt and Mark Wahlberg, which I like their movies. Like I remember realizing that I like Mark Wahlberg movies, and it's just coming like a shock because I remember like I went to like Black Friday and I bought like most of his movies. I'm like, oh my god, I'm a Mark Wahlberg fan. When the hell that happened?
Wahlberg fits right into your sort of wheelhouse, like in terms of the films that you make with this kind of stuff. Like Wahlberg it just makes sense, like it really does.
Yeah. But as as good as the hype video is, I feel like this is my vanity, right here, it says vanity projects. The Godzilla one is complete vanity, where it's like I'm transitioning to HD. I'm going to take my fucking time. I'm going to use all these things. I'm going to introduce every goddamn character and every plot point and because like this idea, Anthony, this Godzilla idea came back from these days. Back in the day, I had an idea to do a monster movie, and back then I used Batman Begins when they have that the boat, and like the boat was attacked or whatever. Blah blah blah. It was back then, so like I didn't use any of those clips, but the idea was from way back then, 2007, 2008. So when I did the Godzilla trailer, I'm like, I'm going to use everything, all the crayons in the toolbox to tell the story. And I think you even mentioned it, I think in your comment, or you said it to him on a tweet, but you're like, I didn't even know 5 minutes passed.
Well, it's true, because I've spent so much of this video complaining about the people that make like so long videos and then they call it a trailer. I'm like, that's not a fucking trailer. You're a liar. But
this
like,
is not a trailer.
This is something where, because you keep the emotions appropriate, like you have all these different characters and it feels very real. Like it almost does feel like if these people who make these big movies like Abrams could have their way, it almost feels like they would release a 5-minute trailer.
Yes. They did that with Green Lantern
movies. They've got these big fucking movies, so it almost feels appropriate because it's like designed to be a blockbuster. Like we're referring to the Batman v Superman one.
Yeah,
how it feels like Emmerich, and it feels a little Armageddon, that kind of era.
Yeah,
like that's what this feels like. This feels like
one...
Super 8, where it's like, what the hell is this movie? And it's like it's an homage to Steven Spielberg, and that's all you have to know. And it's like, okay, I'll go see it. It features a train crash.
That's my joke with my mystery hype movie. So like the mystery hype was Reset. That was the first one where it was like, ooh, what is this? What is it? And it was time travel. And then this one was like, ooh, what is it? Originally, it was just supposed to be a generic monster movie, but I knew I'd get those stupid comments that I got from Reset that would say, oh, that's Godzilla. Oh, that's King Kong. So it's like,
right. It's like, oh, is this a Cloverfield thing? And it's like, no.
Yeah. And you were just mentioning that how this is like a Roland Emmerich, but I was sort of inspired by movies like Traffic or Syriana, where it's like multiple plot lines going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And like all around the world. Like, I think the Bruce Willis segment is all on Skull Island, and Mark Wahlberg is trying to figure out what's going on, where these things come from, or I think it might probably Brad Pitt as well. But it's like they're all on different plot lines, and they all kind of intersect at some point. So that's what my goal was.
Yeah.
For the trailer. Yeah.
It's hype. And then I guess, moving on, we've just got a bunch of stuff that is coming out
in the works. It's in the works. So you got to ask about it because I know you want to talk about the Green Lantern. So
yeah, Green Lantern obviously is I guess like the final technically.
I think so. I think so.
So in terms of the story, from what I've gathered from the footage that you have released, it's sort of a years later kind of a Hal Jordan becoming Green Lantern, and is sort of it's not the young test pilot. It's an older post what we've seen already, kind of like the 96. This is a bit further down the line.
Yes.
Like what made you kind of want to go with the sort of current Tom Cruise over younger Tom Cruise?
Because I like the idea. Because like when I started working on it, I kind of like the idea of doing like a sidequel. So this is sort of going on the same time as the Dark Knight Returns, or was it Returns? The one where old man Bruce Willis. So it's a sidequel because in the opening scene, I know I forgot what it's called. I forgot if it was Return or Rises. It was Returns. So in the Dark Knight Returns, Superman is buried because he's dead. So that's what makes Batman come out. So I feel like with Superman gone, I feel like that's what sort of activates Green Lantern being activated because there's no more Guardians on Earth. So we need a new one. And this Hal Jordan, he's like Maverick, of course, where he's still, he hasn't grown up yet. Because I have that scene where he uses the thing to fight. And then I have Sinestro there saying like, you don't deserve that ring. And I like that shot too, because he's getting arrested and he's looking at Sinestro standing right there looking at him. I think that'd be so cool in the movie where Sinestro comes down because he's probably been watching from a distance and just seeing how this Hal Jordan does.
Right.
And then just seeing him fuck up like right away, like instantly try to save somebody in the street using his powers. Meanwhile, he's not being responsible. So yeah. But yeah, I wanted to do like sort of a sidequel because it's happening at the same time. And that's why at the end, because you told me to change it, which I probably will. I have the old man Cusack where he faked his death and he's okay, like moving on because it's old man Cusack. He doesn't look good in Superman anymore.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a great sort of conceptual idea there. It's like a fun, like it's connected, but I don't think it serves the story in any way. But yeah, I mean, I always like stuff like this because as someone who is like filled with Green Lantern mythos, I love seeing takes on it that aren't attached to anything else, because I feel like nowadays when you go online and you see like the fans talk about what they want, it's like the most basic stuff, and like I get it. And I've talked about this I think on the pod where like if I were to do a Green Lantern movie, I'd want to sort of bypass all the stuff that people really want first, because I kind of want to do like its own interesting thing. So yeah, whenever I see something like this and it doesn't feel like, all the Lantern colors and Blackest Night, like all the obvious suspects, like it makes it really interesting to me. So yeah, it's sort of an older take. You're playing around with the rules a little bit. You're sort of, and I guess going back to the Batman v Superman one, you have that bit in there of like, I underestimated you, make sure you don't underestimate me.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fun because it reminds me of a time where these movies weren't just one-to-one trying to, or at least like deceptively accurate. Because I feel like nowadays they get so close to being accurate that when they do diverge from the norm, people get mad, right? Like when Marvel does like a character but it's like different from the comics, people are like, what happened to when Marvel did this right? And it's like they should always diverge and they should always like intertwine when they can. But it felt like it used to be way more acceptable to just kind of like do your own thing. And I feel like that energy was in your BVS, and the energy is here of like, just do your own thing. This is not an adaptation of this book or whatever, because then people get mad. It's a new take on the mythos, and I appreciate that. I think that's really exciting.
And I feel like it's not inspired by anything, because I feel like the Dark Knight one was inspired by the book, of course, Dark Knight Returns, and then the other one was inspired by the Dark Knight movie with Joker and all that, and then the BVS one is inspired by the Snyder one. So this one is doing its own thing, It's new territory where it's not based on a book or another idea I've seen. It's just I've always wanted to see Tom Cruise as Hal Jordan. And since we're just talking about it, I'll talk about how like the part that's missing from the trailer, and I'm not sure if it's going to work because I always talk about it.
Hopefully it'll work.
So in the first minute, I'm going to have Matthew McConaughey as the dad to Hal Jordan.
Right.
And it's all narration, and it's all narration from White Boy Rick, where he says, when you were born and I held you in the hospital, you're going to be someone special. You were never going to have any problems. And I never wanted that for you. So all through this thing, it's going to show clips of, Interstellar, where, he's getting ready to go on the ship. And then I cut to the plane crashing from the movie 2011, when the dad dies on the tarmac or whatever. But it's all narration of Matthew McConaughey telling Tom Cruise or young Tom Cruise that he was going to be something. Yeah. And I'll probably even try to squeeze in clips from young Tom Cruise, like him from Nothing to Lose when he's playing football or something. I'll probably try to incorporate those as well. But I'm not sure if that's fully going to work because there's hype there. There's hype in the middle and then hype in the beginning, at the end. So I'm not sure. Because you know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's all narration, like, you're the best, you're the greatest. So I'm not sure if that opening is going to work.
The Man of Steel teasers, they were the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So maybe it'll work. But right now, the idea is to have Matthew McConaughey doing narration, and then you sing the dad pass away, and then it goes into drops of water.
Well, it's going to be interesting just because, like you said, there's nothing that you can use that visual shorthand for in terms of this. Because with Batman, it's easy. Just throwing a couple scenes from The Dark Knight, throwing the warehouse from BVS. It's Batman.
There's not much here.
Green Lantern, you kind of have to start from scratch, which is why so few people do it. Like, obviously, there's that famous one with Nathan Fillion from 30 years ago.
Yeah, 30 years ago.
But I guess there's a lot hanging on this on both the editing side and just sort of the nerdy comic book side of it. It feels like such a big challenge. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see it all come together. And
I'm really trying.
You have to finish it.
Yeah. And I'm really trying to avoid crazy visual effects because I feel like that has become a distraction from fan trailers. I'm not citing anybody specifically. I'm just talking about in general, where I feel like visual effects have trumped storytelling and making a good video.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to kind of throw somebody under the bus, but that Tropic Thunder with Mario, what the hell? It's so random. It's not that funny, but it's so technically well done. And it's like, what the hell is this?
Right.
And I feel like all this editing has gone that far. And it's like, when I watch my stuff, it's like, I'm doing creative edits to make it funny. I'm not putting all this effort to make it look amazing where it looks like they're driving in the rainbow cart or whatever. It's like,
well, I mentioned it before. It's if compositing two characters that are not normally together and making it seamless seems to be like the end goal, and that's it. Yeah. And it's like, that's the point of the trailer. It's like, you could have just uploaded a clip, like you could have just left it at that, which is also something our good pal Kirk Beatty did once. He put John Bernthal from The Walking Dead against that clip.
That's my Wolverine. Joke. I love that. I always reference that on his videos. I'm like, well, I'm still waiting for that. I know it bothers him. I know it does. I'm sure it just feels like you just like getting pricked by a little pin. But every time I'm like, oh, I'm still waiting for the John Bernthal and Wolverine trailer.
Because it's perfect. He knew that's all he could do. So he uploaded that. You were referring earlier in your early days of just the one joke, and that's it. And you need a bit more to make a full length sort of trailer from it. So,
oh my God, Anthony, I just remembered an idea that completely left my mind that I wanted to do.
Okay,
you just brought it up. Remember, I wanted to do the Vince McMahon trailer.
Oh yeah, my God. The Vince McMahon biopic.
Wow, I need to put that on my docket. That's right, because I wanted to use clips from Wolf of Wall Street and then have Hugh Jackman as Vince McMahon. Oh my God.
Yeah. He was Vince McMahon has always been Kirk and I's fan cast. We've talked a long time. It's like it would really work, but like in my head, I can picture Paul Rudd as young Ric Flair with that blonde hair and everything.
Oh my God.
Like there's something here. And I don't know how you do it, but McMahon is a movie.
Damn. Wow, I completely forgot about that. I know I made some tweets about it because I wanted to use clips from definitely Hugh Jackman movies, and then Wolf of Wall Street. Because you just mentioned John Berthal. That's what got me thinking, because I want to have like John Berthal because of that. I think in the airplane he's like, ugh, and that visual popped in my head as we were talking about it from Wolf of Wall Street. Oh my god! But yeah, that's a great trailer idea if anyone wants to make it.
Well, there you go. But I guess the biggest thing, do we want to, I guess, before we get to some questions we can rattle off, because most of them have already been answered, but we can kind of wrap it up there. But your biggest thing you've got coming up is Kristen Stewart.
Oh, fuck's sake. I know, it was so funny too, because I've always kept it close to the chest. I never really said what the hell the plot was. I've always said Kristen Stewart project.
Yeah.
And then I released the teaser, and people were like, oh my god, this is just straight up vanity shit, and I'm down for it. And there was people, and there was a comment that said like, oh, I don't recognize any of these movies, and I was like, good, that's the point. That's the point. I wanted to make it seem like a real movie. God.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole point. Yeah, like this almost feels like it's all building to this, in a way. Even though it's like things can come afterwards, it just something about it. It just like you worked with the same people for so long, and it's like this feels like, I don't know. It makes sense, but at the same time, it's like a little bit different than what you normally do.
Yes.
It's crazy. I don't know.
So the Kristen Stewart project was on that huge list in 2013. And at that time, it was just supposed to be like this rock star girl who goes into the adult film industry and becomes like a whole ordeal. But at that time, she was like in like 2 movies, like Twilight and Runaways, nothing. So now it's been 20 years. She has this huge filmography, and it works. And I'm so down for it. And then I'm squeezing in actors that I now love, like the Bradley Cooper. Like Bradley Cooper was never going to be involved, but I was like, I got to squeeze in Bradley Coops.
Oh yeah, now he fits
best.
perfectly, especially his recent filmography.
He fits perfectly into my kind of world of actors. And even like his little clips in my trailer so far for the Kristen Stewart project, where he's just like, all right, let's go. You want to be somebody? It's like, yes, that's exactly what I'm going for. And then you got Kristen Stewart, and then you have John Goodman. And it's so funny because the clip, the visual, is from The Gambler, but the audio is from Argo. Mm-hmm. And that just blows my mind, because like there's so many movies like people don't even think about where it's like I'm using audio from this and this, that, and there.
Well, it's proof that you can do that, like you commented earlier about people saying like you could have used clips from the movie itself. And it's like, that's not creative. Like, I'm going to use visuals from this to mesh with visuals from that and use dialogue from a completely different movie. Like, that's the beauty of editing. Is like, as long as you make it believable, then we're doing it right.
Yeah. But because like that one is like, I like the look of John Goodman in The Gambler, even though he doesn't say the exact lines I want him to say. But I like that look.
That's what it looks like.
I remember that was another forgotten idea where I wanted to do a Daredevil thing, but I was like, no, I can't. I can't even dive into that. That's too much. But like the Kristen Stewart project, the whole idea is to have, because it's all inspired by Sasha Grey, where she started as an adult film actress, went to film, went to do movies, like did a couple movies, then became a DJ that traveled the world. Oops, I'm still here. Hang on, podcast. Let me change my settings.
Oh no.
Oh no. Does that work? Doesn't work? No. There we go. Is it working? Anyway, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
Picture of a faceless man.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. We can still keep going. But like the Kristen Stewart project, it was inspired by Sasha Grey, how she became more than the adult film actress that we know her as. Because now she's like a video gamer. She does streams on Twitch. And it's so funny because like she's so famous. Like she went to Italy at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and like every couple of minutes, every second, someone was walking up to her saying, oh my God, can I have a picture with you? Can I have a picture with you? So like this Kristen Stewart project is all inspired by her career. And I want to have sort of like a positive outlook on it, where it's somebody who wants to do this. It's not a downer, something like Boogie Nights, or at least that's what I'm aiming for. That's the goal. Not sure if I'm going to succeed. From the most part, from the looks of it, it looks fine, but I don't know. I'm trying.
Looks fine. All right, there, George. We're never going to be Titanic.
Look, we're never going to be Titanic. We're never going to be Jurassic World 2015. Nobody can.
I mean, we're all excited for it. Hey, look who's alive.
There we go. That's my actual webcam on my laptop.
Well, you know, we're wrapping up here, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, like we're all excited for it, dude, because it once again, it's you doing something that is original, and it's you, and
that
it
no
feels
one
like
would
an
think
evolution.
of.
Yeah, exactly, and
No
that's
one's
what's
gonna come of that.
fun about your edits is it being sort of unique, and like that's the thing. I don't even have to ask of like why Bradley Cooper, because like I've seen the movies you've seen that make you want to use Bradley Cooper.
Exactly.
You know, like it makes sense to me. So
yes, it makes sense.
I guess that's kind of the beauty of the sort of crowd that like people like us have, is we're just small enough that we have these people that like if they follow us on our socials and stuff like that, they get it. It's never like a shock. You know, granted, you've got your people that'll come back and be like, "Oh, what's this?" And that's cool. You know, this is for anybody, but you can tell who sticks around and who pays attention when it's like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this for years, and now it's here, and it's what I want." And thank you.
Oh my gosh, I know. Because there's people that have been here for a long time. Like I know Cade Fisher, Filler Vision. He's been here a long time. T. Hamill. I feel like T. Hamill's like the secret glue to everybody.
T. Hamill's great. Love
He's
T.
the
Hamill.
best. Even though he bounced and said, "This is enough."
Not that
he said,
great.
"This is it." He's not that great. He couldn't stay. Yeah. But yeah, there's people here that always support us, like Shane Ford and Captain Iron Dog. Yeah.
Classics.
They're all here.
Ray
Classics.
Girl. Yeah. All sorts of people.
Ray.
We get into the questions here. I think we got the last bit of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're going a little bit long. So obviously, what got you into editing? You know, you talked about your sort of early years and in college and getting yelled at. Real quick, I had a sort of similar sort of experience where I was for the longest time being like, I want to be an actor, and then like I was doing plays and stuff in high school, and like I got into an argument with the teacher who was also the director, and like she was like fresh out of school and was being this now. And I remember like I got into an argument and she's like, "All right, we're going to take 5," like really upset at me. And so like I left. And then when I came back, everybody else was like back to rehearsing without me. I was like, "Oh, fuck this. Like, I am not going to be here for like, I'm going to do my job." This is like high school. So it's like ridiculous that there's this
But
much
it's funny
drama.
too, because she's just a kid as well. You have to put that in your mind, because she's like in her 20s out of college. So she's a kid.
Yeah, so I was like,
God.
just like you, I was like, I don't want to be an actor if it means I'm going to sit here and be yelled at. Like, that's stupid. So yeah, I mean, is there anything you want to add on in terms of like getting into editing other than having fun?
Yes, I do, because I have a video clip ready.
Oh God.
Yes. So in 1997, there's this game called Driver.
So
I was never able to play it because I could never pass that tutorial in the parking garage. I could never do that one move within that 60 seconds. So I always played the film director mode. And without knowing, I learned how to edit and place cameras while playing this game.
Right.
There was a few years ago where I was like, how the hell did I learn how to edit? And I was doing stuff like this where I would, you know, place the camera, point of view, or have a jump spot. I didn't make this video, of course, but it's just an example of how you can see how there's different camera angles and whatnot. I would always drive in San Francisco so I could drive up the hills and bounce and have all the cop cars flip. But yeah, this is where I started editing, was from this Driver game, basically. And I had no idea at the time. I was like, oh, that's new.
Yeah, doing like machinima stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah, and then let me pull it up. There is a special feature on the Die Hard DVD. This is the Steelbook that came out in 2007, I believe. There's a special feature that says the cutting room, re-edit your favorite scenes. So there's a little special feature on that DVD where they give you a scene, like an example. It's a scene with Mr. Takagi, and you're supposed to re-edit the scene, how it, you know, use the different angles that they actually used. So you get to see the alternate angles that John McTiernan used. So like in the movie, like you only see the blood splatter on the window, but there was more graphic takes, and you could edit the scene using your DVD.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So like there's a clip where you can clearly see like the little blood like go here and explode, and it's full on camera. And then there's one where it's like a lower thing where you see the, and then it's the normal cut where it hits the window. and they had all these different things. And I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 other scenes that you could re-edit.
Yeah.
But that's what also got me into editing and realized like, oh, it's more impactful just to see the blood splatter on the thing instead of actually seeing the, the full on, squib going off in his head and the blood going out. So that was another thing where I learned about editing from that.
Cool.
Yeah. And they don't have special features like that anymore, which is sad.
No.
And I don't think that was on any other releases except that one.
Next one, another broad question. Who inspired you? You mentioned the Toys Gone Wild earlier, but some other people that got you to where you are.
A movie guy. He did the Fight Club with The Matrix. Waxinator. Holy shit. Waxinator was the guy. Wow. The YouTube poop guy. I don't know if anyone was watching who knew Waxinator. There would be no Little Mermaid without Waxinator. And there would probably be no Little Mermaid or Scooby-Doo without Orpheus for the Win. Orpheus for the Win did these things called scoops, where it's like he makes fun of like Scooby-Doo. Fantastic shit. Like his stuff is like a certain style. It's almost like you watch my videos and you know it's ChiefBrodyRules. You watch Orpheus for the Win and you know it's an Orpheus for the Win. And if you watch Waxination, you know it's a Waxination video. So that's what I liked about all those guys. And there's some references I do, like do I still have it here? Do I still have it? Do I close it out? Close it out. Anyway, there's a Snow White clip, and I reference Waxinator in the Snow White one because on the side of the castle you see little Gaston, and in one of his videos he did, Gaston went through a wall, so that was like a little call to him, like a reference. So that's why there's So yeah, those guys. Of course, Shades of Night. Without him, I probably wouldn't even want to get into trailer mashups. Or the trailer fan edits, I should say.
I mean, come on. And then what got you posting to YouTube originally? What made you want to put this stuff on a place that people could see it?
Just because at that time, I was like looking at mashups for some reason. I was looking up little funny things. Like it was like Pogo, the guy who does those little music videos and using sound effects.
Yeah.
He was in the early days. Like no one else was like posting stuff. He was one of them. I have Walking Taco Dubs. That's Phil Dragish. He had dubs and mashups as well on his channel. And this was like early days. So I wanted to sort of, be on the floor, the opening, we call it the factory floor of doing this. So I started doing my mashups, even though they look like shit. They look like my little tiger toy, but they were still something. Yeah, they look like that, but it was at least something, before I evolved to something else. Pikachu.
So this is a question that I had asked because this is one of the first videos that I saw of you. Why did you mash up Green Lantern 2011 with the Pokemon theme song? There's the great bit that I always can remember is it ends with Hal Jordan looking at fucking Jango Fett, Tamara Morrison as Abin Sur, and it's going, "You teach me and I'll teach you." Like, Pokemon. Why?
Again, that was 2011, so I'm throwing whatever like sticks. Because I did that one with the Greatest American Hero. Because I think on the other previous stream when I opened up my Kyle Renner, I was like, I can't believe it myself. So I did like the American Hero, and then when I did that, I'm like, oh, let me do the Pokemon theme. So those are two at the same time. And not only that, but at that time, I don't know if you remember, but like they released half the Green Lantern movie through trailers.
Right.
They had like the 5-minute trailer, and then there's a 3-minute trailer, and then there was like a whole behind the scenes. I was like, Jesus, there ain't nothing left to show in the movie.
There really wasn't. The other thing I asked was, what do you think is the most important thing to know before editing? So, like, I guess an advice sort of thing you could give to people.
I would say get a hard drive. Get a hard drive so you can start saving your projects and saving your movies and saving visuals and any effects. Put it on your hard drive because those are important. Because that's where all my movies are. That's how I was able to, do my golden era of YouTube poop. Is because I finally had hard drives to do that. That would be my biggest advice. Also, back up all your stuff because everything on YouTube is not going to stay there forever. It could get deleted. You could be taken down. You get like a copyright strike. So always back up your stuff. What's another thing? If you're going to do something, make sure you want to do it. Don't do it for your subscribers. That's what I would say. Unless that's what you're aiming for. If you really want to, like, okay, I want to do what my subscribers say. Then go ahead, do that. It's like a different mindset. If you want to say, okay, if they want me to do a VHS trailer, I'm going to do it. That's you. That's on you. But to me, in order to make I guess it doesn't work because I have no views. So that's bad advice. Just do what the audience wants because then you'll get views and go viral. Don't do what I do. That's terrible advice. Skip that. Reverse it.
Do that with that one funny trailer guy does, where he just throws in a bunch of like googly faces and then asks for money on Patreon. That guy did.
Oh my God, dude! That dude, if anything, he ripped me off. I'll say that. You know what I'm talking about, right? That guy who's like, pay me money, pay me $60 to do this shitty mashup. It's like, dude, like he ripped me off. He ripped off my style. I'll say that. That is for sure ripped off my style. Because I remember I shared it to you. I'm like, this is what I did with the Avengers trailer, but he's doing it like, hey, pay me money. It
was like the same jokes and everything. Yeah, it was just like louder and more modern. I
brash,
guess.
Yeah.
It's bold and brash. It belongs in the trash. What was the reason you never made a third YouTube poop Frozen video? We kind of got into that.
Yeah, we kind of got into that. Yeah. But yeah. And how we come with Kristen Stewart project. Yep, we talked about that as well.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
That's it. We're done.
That's it. We're done. Okay, so give them your socials.
Well, I'm at Anthony Lantern on Instagram and Twitter. I'm also Anthony Reviews, where, of course, Anthony Reviews. I just put up a video recently of me interviewing the one and only Pixel Dan, which was a lot of fun. It was very similar to something like this. It was just me getting into his sort of YouTube career. We talk about He-Man, Ninja Turtles, a little bit of wrestling. It was great. He's a really nice guy. And then, of course, I do have the podcast that I do with Kirk, who we've mentioned quite a bit on here, which is called The Grund, which is available on Apple, iTunes, places, wherever, and Spotify. We've got a new episode coming out soon where we talk about the DC slate and the Flash trailer. And then we also talk about Ant-Man and that one. Check it out.
Quantumania.
What a film.
Yes. And then you can follow me on Twitter at I Want My TV Now. And I have a new channel, which I've been streaming on both channels. Subscribe to I Want My TV Now. Hang on. Where is it? Right here? There. Subscribe to it because that's where I'm doing DVD reviews, unboxing. Speaking of which, my mom just dropped off my box from storage, and I can't wait to reveal some of these figures. Yeah. So that's for Wednesday. Everyone decided so far. So Wednesday, I'll do a stream at 6 p.m. going through the box from storage. So that should be fun. So with that being said, let's go to the outro. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and good night.
Take care.
Well, Mickey and I and the whole Disney family want to thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy the rest of your visit here at Walt Disney World. Now, gang, it's time to get back to work. They're on vacation. We're not. So everybody up. Wave goodbye.
There you go.